Okay, parto? Okay. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, and your colleagues and friends, welcome to the 6th edition of the International Workshop, Marine Litter Monitoring, Removal, and Blue Circular Economy. We started this journey six years ago under the Horizon project. And through these years, we developed an overcompassing concept that included other project innovation in order to cope with the challenge of marine litter pollution, understanding it, assessing it, monitoring it, and trying to come out with some solution that could cope with the problem, and thinking about the circularity of this litter. And we created an agenda thanks to the contribution of our colleagues from project of the Mission Ocean and Waters, under which this event is, and by many other projects through which we can contribute to make a difference. We believe that the project has, of course, a lifespan, 1, 2, 3, 4 years, but then what we achieve through our action to the funds provided by the European Commission, to our co-funding, has to turn into something tangible, something that can affect, can make an impact, and then we, in a way, can achieve the objective of the Mission Ocean for the Mediterranean and for all the basin and the waters of the European Union and beyond it. That's why we are here today. And we are a very challenging, very packed agenda. And I would like to introduce very briefly what we are going to do today. And we start with an introduction of the former head of the mission, Elisabetta Balzi, is with us today, and with another important institution, which is the European Investment Bank. And we will introduce institutionally what the Mission Ocean is and what also there are specific facilities, machinery, financial machinery of the European Union to fund technology and solution and under this area of interest. And then we start with the marine litter monitoring assessment. So we have colleagues that will display the innovation that we've been working for many years. And also with the cleanup solutions. And then we go with the blue circular economy. So it's very interesting, very interesting. On the other part, we will have also a policy roundtable right after this with a short break. There is an artist, a gondolier of Venice, who created all this picture you see hang on the wall. And he will explain what it is about. And then we will have a policy roundtable organized by our partner Isotech from Cyprus, then lunch break, and then we will delve into another location. We'll now be in this wonderful venue. We'll be guest of Tatis, engineering enterprise here in Arsenal of Venice. And then we will have a participatory stakeholder workshop to better understand the problem of marine litter in Venice and how we can cope with it. By converging on a table of different stakeholders, most relevant stakeholders in Venice. Venice is a World Heritage Site. Actually, the appellate is Venice is lagoon. There is no Venice without lagoon. In a way, the lagoon of Venice wouldn't be like this without the city. So, in a way, we are a fusion of culture and nature, and defending, protecting, promoting it is a big challenge. We know that we are a crossroad of many problems. You know, industrial pull, massive tourism, big airport, unsustainable transport, decline of population in the city. I'm a Venetian, as my colleagues here. We're fewer and fewer. The future is maybe bright, maybe it's not, but we have to put our best efforts to, I would say, to try to engage technologically, socially, environmentally, to make our place, a laboratory for innovation that can be an example for many others. around the world. And this is why also we want to keep up the legacy of work that we started on the project that now are no more. But then we started thinking that we can move on this legacy by enriching with the Mission Ocean, with the Horizon project, with the ANFAF program, with the Interreg. So I think there are different angles that we can see the problem, and there are different ways to solve it. Decentralized territorial cooperation, research, innovation, and science, social innovation, citizenship, citizen science. There's a lot of good points that putting together can make a difference. So at the end of the day, last but not least, as you should say, we will have the performance of the CClear 2.0 system, a system which is basically housed in the CCAT, is a sort of vessel, not a big one, but a concentration of high technology, robotic, etc. And here we have colleagues from the CClear 2.0 project. We will demonstrate this on live, for real, in the basin of the arsenal during the boat show. Because actually, for those that are linked not here, they are linked remotely, we are at the boat show of Venice. We are inside the old arsenal, where, you know, one of the first places where actually in the world human beings understood how to build up ships very quickly, solid, and that's why Venice was famous around the world for this capacity of building ship very, very quick. And the Adriatic Sea was at the time called the Gulf of Venice for this reason. So today, after 2 centuries, now in the same base, in the same arsenal, we display a vessel that is capable to detect litter underwater, capable to remove them, and then in a way we can clean up our you know, the litter from the sea bottom, which is one of the most challenging things we can do. Picking plastics or other marine litter floating is one thing. Going down into the sea, where waters that in Venice are not crystal clear, is a challenge. So we will display this piece of technology for you at the end of our day. So it's far beyond an international workshop, and we will be here until including the policy roundtable. And then this is what we're going to do until lunch break, basically. Without delaying too much, I would like to offer the floor to our first speaker, representing the European Commission today, Elisabetta Balzi. Elisabetta. Thank you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, friends of the oceans and waters. It's an emotion for me to be here today. I'm actually no more officially representing the Commission, but I'm mandated to be here with you. And 5 years ago, actually, we were here, just in the Arsenale, and we had the very first meeting of a lighthouse, of a Mediterranean lighthouse of our mission to restore our ocean and waters. And after 5 years, it's an enormous pleasure to be here with you, the communities who made this mission a reality. So first of all, personally, I would like to congratulate you all for all what you represent, what you have done for the mission in all different parts, because as already Davide introduced, and I will briefly show in my short presentation, that the mission is really a strategic mobilization initiative to be done all together. So it goes far beyond research and innovation. Of course, we invest a lot. We started, and it's anchored in the research and innovation program, the European one, but this is only the start. So we have to work all together across all different levels, the European, the national, the regional, the cities, the local, the port authorities, the water authorities, the citizens, and use all our resources to really reach those objectives, which are very ambitious. So today I will, if I can have my presentation, I would shortly give an overview of how far we are in terms of marine pollution, both in European Research and Innovation Program and in the European mission to restore our ocean and waters. if I can have my short presentation. Or I can do it. I can do without. Okay. Otherwise, I can do it without. But no, of course, there were some. Good. So a short overview of what we are doing, both in general on marine research, marine pollution research and innovation in our European Research Innovation Program, and with Emission Restore our ocean water. But let's start quickly from the policy context. You are very well aware that we have very important policies, European policies, which address the issue of pollution, including marine and aquatic pollution, of course, starting from the European Green Deal. We have then the Circular Economy Action Plan, the European Strategy for Plastic, and the targets, the action plan for plastic and pollution, with important targets of removal of at least 50% of marine plastic and 30% of microplastic. Speak here. So we're in terms of, we are closely monitoring these targets, and there is an outlook, yearly outlook, prepared by the Joint Research Center, and we can predict that for the first target of reducing plastic litter at sea by 50%, we might be on track with reaching up to 42% reduction. With the second target, we are not on track for microplastic. There is a prediction that up to 70% would be reduced instead of 30%, so we have certainly to accelerate. Still, in terms of policies, ocean and waters are at the very core of our European policies. A series in the last 2 years, a series of new, very important strategies and action plans have been presented by European Commission, and I just remember that the European Ocean Pact and the European Water Resilience Strategies have been adopted last year, and now in this very moment we are preparing, the Commission is preparing the European new Ocean Research Innovation Strategy and the new Water Resilience Strategy. With a consultation, with a broad public consultation, there was an important event held here, even in Venice, a couple of months ago. There will be a public consultation published soon, what we call the call for evidence. So everybody is invited to contribute to this process, which will be very important because it will set the research innovation which will be carried out in the next years. The Ocean Pact, of course, it's very important. There are 6 priorities. One of them is certainly the boosting sustainable and competitiveness blue economy, which is also at the core of this event and today's discussions. So you see, it's a very important moment for the ocean and waters in the European policies. What are we doing in our research, in the Commission Research and Innovation Program, European Research Innovation Program, Horizon Europe? Ocean pollution is, of course, a very important aspect. We have dashboards to follow this. We can forecast that for the moment we have about an investment of about 80 million euros in a series of Horizon Europe projects. And what is even more interesting is what we can detect if we do an analysis across different European programs. Davide, you already mentioned the importance, which is key in the mission of joining forces across different programs. So not only Horizon Europe, which is a research innovation program, but the other ones. I know that some of them are present here, some projects from MFAF, from Interreg. We have done an analysis of 16 European programs, including the structural funds, in function of the objective of a mission, different objectives. And here you see the results for pollution. And we have more than 400 projects for a value of more than 1.5 billion euros if we analyze across the different programs. So this is also a very interesting dashboard that I invite you to consult because you have a very rich source of information. All the projects are there. It was done a few years ago, so I think now we have even more. So, but a very important investment in ocean and waters pollution. Now, the mission. The mission is, as I said, the strategic mobilization initiative. It starts on research innovation. It goes far beyond research innovation and is expecting to involve a very wide range of stakeholders. Now, the mission has 3 objectives. First of all, the restoration of marine and water ecosystems and the biodiversity with precise targets, also the protection of the EU season areas and of rivers. The second objective relevant to this event today is prevent and eliminate pollution of ocean, seas and waters with these targets of 50% plastic litter, 30% microplastic, 50% of nutrient losses. And the third objective is making the blue economy carbon neutral and circular, also with a series of targets. So it's a very, very ambitious mission, and therefore it clearly can be only implemented all together. So the starting point where we are referring to, and where we have a lot of investment, is the Horizon Europe program, but actually we have to work, first of all, across different EU programs, and that's why it's very important. You're giving a very good example of what the mission here is. We are working together with national authorities, regional authorities, local authorities, port authorities, water authorities. It's also a very good example that today we have representative of all those very important categories. So we are joining forces, of course, in order to bring the solutions on the territories with, in each context, what is needed. We are working with international partners, we are working with the public and private sectors, with investors, so we have also the European Investment Bank here, and citizens and youth at large. So all the citizens are very welcome in our mission, very much needed. You spoke about the gondoliers today. We have many categories of very engaged citizens NGOs, associations, recreational sports, scuba divers, who are doing very important action for our mission, and we are supporting them. So I would like to underline that youth is also very important. We are working also with many schools that we are supporting, starting from primary schools. So what are we doing? In Horizon Europe, we are investing, it's not irrelevant, for the whole period we will invest more than 850 million of euros. We already invested up to 600 in the first 5 years, so this is not irrelevant. And across all different objectives, and I didn't mention, but in the previous slides you had also 2 enablers which are key. First of all is the knowledge and the data for ocean and waters, and for example we are developing a digital twin of the ocean and of inland waters through the mission. And our president, Ursula von der Leyen, announced recently a new initiative that she called Ocean Eye, so for ocean observation, and there will be important investments. And the second enabler, which is key for the mission, is the public engagement and the mobilization. And therefore, we have also in our work programs, we support also those enablers, not only the 3 objectives. And we also expect that the projects, as you are very nicely demonstrating, involve all those actions and involve also broadly the citizens at large. So this is an example of a portfolio project that we have within the mission on zero pollution. We spent already something like 80 million of euros, a series of projects, including the ones which are present today, and I'm very glad also that you're going to demonstrate the solutions today. Clear, Remedies, Inspire, and new projects which are being the last ones, the newborn, which are being launched now. It's an example of this is a toolbox for public authorities to address marine plastic and litter from river to ocean. So here we are Commission is spending 22 million of euros in 4 projects, I think, in all the lighthouses, just to provide the public authorities to work together with the public authorities and provide them with the tools needed, or at least help them, facilitate, because this is, even if it's big amounts, it's peanuts with respect to what is needed in the end. But this is an example of how we are working in the mission, going beyond the research and innovation itself and by itself. This is the current work program, so what is still will be open for new proposals, and I highlighted 2 topics addressing aquatic pollution and biodiversity loss through nature, positive solutions from source to sea. So here also an important investment of 30 million of euros in the next year, so this year actually, and another one on green, circular and resilient harbors, just to give an example how, for example, the ports are important elements in our mission. This is open still for new proposals. Now, the principle of a mission is to deliver solutions involving broadly all citizens and all categories on the territories for the local, in function of the local capacities and local needs, for ocean and waters. And here we have a wonderful example of a mission of a lagoon. It's connecting the inland waters with ocean and sea. So La Serenissima, I think, is really a wonderful example, in addition to what all you are doing, but really how we we support this concept of the broadly communities working together and at the connection between inland waters and the sea. So there is now a new catalog or example of solutions, because there are many more, and here we are showing also Sea Clear, so I'll be very pleased to see today also the demonstration of what you can do to clean the lagoon with robots. Then the projects are also expected to demonstrate a solution, so we have more than 300 demonstration sites already, nearly 400 across Europe, to demonstrate the solutions which are produced also by previous projects. So this is also how we work. Then the mission, as I said, goes beyond Horizon Europe, goes beyond research innovation, and that's why for us what is key is the mission, what we call the mission charter. So the mission charter is gathering all the communities which are involved in the mission, also by their own resources. So this goes beyond, far beyond Horizon Europe. So here we are gathering them, and we are also giving some support. We have more than 1,000 actions, 1,200 actions by now in the charter, and with a value of 9 billion of euros. So, and you see the Mediterranean lighthouse, we have 4 different lighthouses across Europe. Mediterranean is the strongest, is the most engaged. And here we have all sorts of actions by all sorts of stakeholders. In terms of country, Italy also is still on top of the list of participation. And again, here I speak not in the project, it is beyond the projects. And you see what kind of engagement we have. This is the example at national level. We have ministries. Here you have 2 Italian ministers of research, innovation, and universities, and the one of energy and environment, who adhered formally to the charter. So adhering to the charter doesn't engage legally, neither financially, but it's saying we are working for the mission because we are doing some action, whether it's a national program of 400 million of euros with recovery and resilience funds, like this ministry is presented, for example, the Italian coastal restoration program, 400 million of euros. But this is the example at national level. But equally important, it's all the other levels. I cannot go very much in detail of all, but I really invite you, if you're not part of a mission yet, please have a look to the charter. I'm sure you have very important actions, and adhere to the charter, because once you're in the community, it facilitates, we are getting them together, we have a forum, we give access to information, facilitate access to information, also to the funding even beyond, far beyond Horizon Europe. Important also the regional level. Here I would like to congratulate the Regione Veneto, since we are here in Venice and hosted by you in this wonderful, wonderful place. Regione Veneto adhered formally to the mission also with a council decision, regional council decision, so we are very grateful to the Regione and the Assessori. Yes, she will come later and we'll congratulate her because they adhered with their projects on river cleaning. So this is also another example how we are joining forces, national, regional level, and then, of course, we go to all levels. And I wanted to give you examples that regions, cities, ports, and islands are very important actors in our mission. And we see how they participate in the charter with their own actions, with their own resources. Some examples, we have more than 100 actions by regions with 700,000 millions of investments on their side. We have waterfront cities with more than €500 million of euros by more than 100 actions. So this is cities across all Europe adhering to the mission with their own actions, cities, authorities. And we hope that the city of Venice will also, we know it's very active, and, but we would appreciate also the formal adhesion to the charter. We have many ports with 45 actions, 1.5 billion of euros investment. So this is also, port authorities are very important. We have a very broad range of port authorities, from the large port, Antwerp, Bruges, or Barcelona, Lisbon, and also we would like Hamburg, of course, Hamburg in your project, and also the small ports, which are equally important, small ports in Tenerife, also, and we are supporting also them with projects. Now, this is a long slide, but the principle is that the Commission is supporting the communities and the authorities, as I said, for local and regional deployment with different instruments. I give some example. We have coordination and support actions for each of the lighthouses, each basin. We have 4 lighthouses in all the basins, sea basins and river basins of Europe. And here we have these actions which are supporting all the activities of the mission. We have a new project for a coalition of regions, cities, islands, and ports for the mission, called Co-Waters, 4 million euros in this coalition, which will facilitate all the connections and the progress to reach the mission objectives in these settings. We have invested more, we are investing more than 50 million euros on what we call community-led pilot actions. Here, actually, we are giving support throughout all the lighthouses to build transition agendas in order to implement the mission in their own local context. So this is also an important investment, and also to do pilot sites to demonstrate how you can develop the mission locally. We are giving, the Commission is providing technical assistance and services. Several communities have been served from ports, islands, and fisheries. More will come. We have, for the regions, so the regions have different type of participation in our mission. Some of them are full partners in our projects. Many of them are associated to the projects. That means, and you probably have them also in your project, but it means that the regions join the projects after that it has been launched, and typically 4 or 5 regions, and then you do demonstration. The project demonstrates typically or build transition agendas in the region. So this is a concept of associating the region to the projects. We have many regions in the mission charter, and we also have some cooperation working arrangements. This is a pilot that we are doing with 3 regions which are in Italy. So many opportunities offered by the mission to facilitate the actions on the territories. And then we are also facilitating investment, and here we will have a presentation from the European Investment Bank, but we have an activity which is Blue Champions for the mission with the European Investment Bank. So this is to say that we are acting together. The Commission is supporting to some extent. We need many resources. That's why the synergies are very important. And we have a portal also to facilitate the exchange of information. And so we are looking forward to, we are all missionaires, and that's why I'm still here, even though I'm not the official in charge anymore, but we are all devoted to this mission, and I would like to thank you very sincerely for all what you have done and made possible to implement this mission, where you live, where you vote, where you are happy. Thank you very much.
Elizabeth, if I can say, we can say something as thank you to you, because you were the former head of the mission, and actually you did a lot of good work. And if we are here, also because of your work. So I know you cannot tell, but we can tell it. Okay, thank you very much. We're very comprehensive and give a broad spectrum of amazing work. It's a completely a game changer compared to what was happened before the AP7, the other Horizon program. This is something completely different. Is something that has to keep up. We need to keep it up together as a community, a broad community. It's a legacy we cannot absolutely miss. So thank you again, Elisabetta, and apologizing for some delay. We'll be very happy to give the floor to the colleagues from the European Investment Bank, Antonella Calvia-Goods and Johan Bofill. Beforehand, I would like just to recommend, this is what they kindly ask us, to not have pictures during their presentation. So please don't make pictures with your mobile phone, and it's a bit sensitive. It's an internal policy of the European Investment Bank. Okay, so, right, Johan, I'll see you there. Good. The connection is...
Good morning, everyone. Hope you can see me, and we are together, me and Antonella, due to some technical issues. So I'm going to try to share the presentation. So I hope you can see it.
Yes, affirmative.
You can see it?
Yes, yes.
Perfect. So I will put then the slideshow system. Sorry, I don't know why. So from the beginning here. Okay, can you see that? No, Clean Oceans Initiative, because we cannot see you now.
Exactly. So because today, Juan and Antonella, you're going to introduce the work of the European Investment Bank on the blue economy, and then a glance to the Clean Ocean Initiative. Exactly,
yes, exactly.
what appears in the slide.
Perfect.
Thank you. The floor is yours, Juan.
Okay, excellent. So thank you very much, everybody. And my name is Juan Bofil. I'm a lead water engineer in the EIB, European Investment Bank, based in Luxembourg. I deal with many issues, and one of them is the Clean Oceans Initiative that we started some time ago. It's only one tiny part of what the bank is doing in relation to blue economy, and later my colleague Antonella will explain further what we do. So first, I will show you what's the issue that we're trying to tackle here. No? The first one is that, as you know, there's a lot of people with a basic waste collection system services. It's estimated up to 2 billion. That's a significant issue, as you can understand. The second one is we see every time that we travel to outside the EU and many of the countries that we are supporting with loans, that the rivers and the creeks are basically dumpsters. And that's because the stormwater management is not a priority for these countries. And we see photos like this one in many countries that we are supporting. So basically storm water management does not exist. Also, of course, the population is growing, and there's urbanization that is growing also in coastal areas, and this is also intensifying the wastewater issue. So, in many countries that we are cooperating with, there's no wastewater treatment, and this, of course, has an impact in the pollution of the oceans, but more important in relation to Clean Oceans Initiative in terms of microplastics, as I will show you. So this nice graphic comes from Oceans Conservancy, and I like it a lot because it shows what's the issue, no? With several few numbers. So first, there's a lot of 2.5 billion metric tons of solid waste produced, and out of it, a lot of it, 275 million is plastic waste. Considering that we are looking with the Clean Oceans Initiative only at the coast. Out of these 275, 100 million metric tons of waste, plastic waste, is in the coast and is mismanaged. So this is where we can find this unfortunately famous number of 8 million metric tons that every year goes into the plastics, into the ocean. So we're talking about plastic, we're talking about bags, we're talking a lot of let's say large plastic, and now you will see why we are talking about large. Besides of the 8 million metric tons, we also have something that is the microplastics, and it was addressed by Elisabetta before. Microplastics, the EU has targets for that, because recently, in 2023, we published this study about microplastics and micropollutants in water. And we saw, gathering all the information that was available at that time, we saw that 1.5 million metric tons of microplastics are discharged every year, at least 1.5 million. At least and the most important part that we saw is that a significant portion, a critical portion, which is 96% of these microplastics, is discharged into the oceans through water pathways. This means that addressing that, we could also target a reduction on this. So this is why in 2018 we launched the Clean Oceans Initiative. It's a partnership between EIB, AFD, and KfW at that time. Later, other institutions joined. The target was financing projects up to 4 billion euro in lending until December 2025. Fortunately, we reached that target. So we passed that target. So we decided to go for a Clean Oceans Initiative 2. 2.0, which basically was launched last year in June 2025 with the same objective. I will quickly pass through it. And the target is 3 billion. It seems less ambitious, but it's not, because we're talking about less time until 2030. We also decided to extend it to other geographies, because in the previous initiative was only a Team Europe initiative, but considering that the issues are outside the EU in many cases, we decided to include, for example, the Asian Development Bank. So the eligibility is we are targeting solid waste management projects in the coast, and also large unsolved issues in large rivers that we know that with the problem with the plastic is mismanaged. It goes to the river, and when the river goes to through the river, it goes to the ocean. So we're also targeting these kind of projects. We're targeting the collection and treatment of wastewater in the coast, because this reduces, we know that a wastewater treatment plant can reduce up to 99% the microplastics discharge into the water bodies, the ocean in this case. And of course, we're also targeting stormwater management in order to solve problems, as you can see in the photo. So, we're also looking for more innovation. So, and unfortunately, I have to say that it's very difficult to find, but we're still pushing for this, finding alternatives to plastic. So, innovative projects in relation to the plastic problem, which go beyond the end of the pipe solution. The country scope is basically outside the EU, but projects inside the EU, and this is why it's relevant also for Venice and for everybody inside the EU. It's also projects inside the EU that demonstrate a clear impact in plastic reduction, plastic pollution reduction. It's eligible for the Clean Oceans Initiative. But basically, what we are doing now, and we are ongoing with this, is we're working on technical assistance generously provided by the Commission in order to find and prepare and implement projects related to the Clean Oceans Initiative. We have one in Sub-Saharan Africa, that is, at least we have 3 projects that will be financed. We have one now in the Caribbean that it's being implemented. So basically 2 or 3 projects will also come out of this successful initiative, and one also in Timor-Leste. So that's in a nutshell with the time we have. Now we'll give the floor to my colleague Antonella, to explain further what we are also doing in other.
Hello, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Davide, thank you for inviting us. I'm Antonella Calvia-Getz. I'm Principal Advisor on Innovation, working in the Project Directorate of the European Investment Bank. So together with Juan, we appraise project, and also we are in charge of strategic oversight. I apologize for not being there in person. I hope there will be other occasions to meet. I studied at Ca' Foscari, and I see the city really growing as a center for environmental blue action and innovation. So I also would like to congratulate David and the organizer of this conference. So this is what
Antonella?
The screen left. I don't know if it's. Can you hear us?
Antonella can hear us.
You can hear us, right? Hello?
Yeah, no, we can hear you, Jon, but we cannot hear Antonella.
Can you hear me now? Sorry.
Yes.
Hiccups.
Yes.
So, no problem. So we are.
We cannot see your presentation, Antonella, sorry. Wait, your presentation is not online.
Wait. I don't know what happened.
Maybe, Jon, you have it. You can.
It's we're the same computer, so let me go back to again. Wait. Share. Okay.
We're not lucky today.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. We'll fix it.
Can you see the slides now?
Yes, confirm.
Okay.
So we need to be flexible again. We need to navigate roughy waters in the future. So
Yeah, indeed. So get used to it.
So, well, let me explain how the bank contributes to the funding of the blue economy. In fact, I'm pleased to say that the bank, the European arm of the Commission, is a world leader of the blue economy financing. Since 2021, we have supported the project directly for 30 billion euros in blue investment, backing a total of 66 billion projects, mainly in marine renewable energy, where Europe is world leader, water management, submarine cables, and port. Nearly all major blue project in Italy receive heavy support, so funding, for example, for major ports activities. However, as you can see, funding for the R&D remains difficult, and I will discuss the reason of this, what we call market failure, and how we can improve in the future our action on innovation, as well as NGOs like yours and the networks that you nourish can also support this objective. So first, let me explain why, probably you well know, why ocean innovation is important. The OECD defines ocean innovation as the set of enabling technology that enhance efficiency and productivity in ocean-related activities like research, shipping, energy, fishery, and tourism. Key examples with dual user potential include, for example, imaging sensors, we will see later your nice robots, satellite tech, advanced material, big data analytics, digital twin, autonomous systems, subsea engineering, all very new technologies. And naturally, marine and education research infrastructure provide the essential skills and capability for resilience and prosperous coastal community. So, in a nutshell, I could say that ocean innovation is really essential for the future of cities like Venice, and our colleague from the Commission mentioned the full engagement of the European Commission on this goal, and I could dare to say that without innovation, the very prosperity of the coastal region could be at risk because of increasing geopolitical and climate change risk. So what is the size of the global market for emerging ocean technologies? Excluding offshore energy, we estimated about 200 billion per year. Europe is in a very good position, about 20-25%, also thanks to the effort made by the Commission. And we have just to say that this data might be underestimating the real value because there is a fast, rapid growth in this sector. In all segments, smart shipping, port solution, marine robotics, and ocean monitoring, which are assumed to accelerate at a growth rate of about 10%. Europe here, once again, specifically in ocean robotics, hold a privileged position. We estimate about 30% of the market share. The reason being that 8 European countries, UK, Germany, France, Denmark, Finland, Sweden, Norway, and Netherlands, are the 8 European most advanced technology hubs. This is based on the Blue Technology Barometer set by the MIT. And we have also Spain, Belgium, Poland, Portugal, and naturally Italy here is not forgotten, that comes in the second tier. So as my colleague mentioned before, still we have issues. And the Blue Champion initiative undertaken as part of the mission tried to dive deeper into the problems that companies encounter in this innovation journey. And basically, there are 3 main market failures arising from the fact that technologies are expensive. They're more expensive, as also you well know in Venice, to develop ocean technologies than inland technologies. They're more risky. The testing phase is lengthier, is longer, and so this makes investors hesitant. Funding for later stage company is particularly scarce. We have good grants mechanism, but the so-called scale-up effort is complex, and this very often cause that some of our entrepreneurs decide to rely on non-new capital. The system is very fragmented at European level. Is mainly a national set of market. We don't have yet a single market for ocean technologies, also to the fact that these technologies were originally mainly sourced by research institutes that were very much anchored in their national research policy. Nevertheless, we are trying our best to support the ecosystem through the study that we undertook as part of the Blue Champions. We set a series of recommendations. Some of them are already integrated in the Ocean Pact. In fact, the Commission, as you well know, launched last year, in fact this year in March 2026, a new maritime manufacturing policy, and we are fully engaging in support of the new vision. The new vision is very ambitious, is about enhancing Europe's global leadership in high-tech ocean technologies, leading in emerging sectors like underwater drones, unmanned vehicles, and overall strengthening Europe's industrial role in constructing the next generation shipping vessel. Also in green shipping, some of the European hubs are the best in the world. So it is very important for us in this ambition to support the ecosystem, to engage with NGOs, research, scale-up actors. So if you have a project, please don't hesitate to contact us. Our role is more, as I mentioned, in the scale-up phase, which means that projects should be at least in technological readiness level 7-9. Briefly, I will illustrate what our eligibility roles. So basically, we can finance all public and private ocean monitoring and protection investment to improve the collection of ocean variables, expanding Copernicus Marine Service. As you know, this is the world leader now in terms of satellite, but we need to combine also with in situ capabilities. And we can support innovative digital ocean services and technology and infrastructure that can enable traditional sectors such as shipping, fishing, tourism. The most important element to remind is that for us to intervene, we are the investment bank of Europe. We are not providing grants, we provide loans. So the project needs to be substantial, over 20-30 millions, of which half should have been already secured via Series A and B funds. All that said, we have a very engaging ecosystem. We are seeing companies growing. We are assisting this growth also together with the Commission. I collaborate also into the initiative so-called Blue Invest. So please let us know if there are initiatives that are worth mentioning. I conclude with these two pictures that come from the Sierra Glass. They very well illustrate the ambitions of Europe. So let us speed up the deployment of key ocean technologies because, as David mentioned, Europe was at the very beginning a world leader. And Themistocles said, who governs the sea governs the world. So it's a chance that we cannot miss. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Antonella. Thank you very much, Johan. Actually, while you were displaying this very interesting presentation, we had already a talk that we should have a follow-up with the technology developed under the mission with you of the bank and see what we can do in the future. And that was very, very comprehensive and rich of interesting points to dig out. So thank you very much, and thank you for Themistocles. It's fantastic to have some classic here. Thank you. I know Aristoteles was, or Themistocles, let's say. I forgot. But anyway, thank you very much for your presentation. And we're a bit out of time or out of scale, but anyway, I think we can recover a bit of time. And right, so we would like to give the floor and a warm welcome to Professor Teresa Tcheki. Teresa, you are a special professor because you have a number of publications, really, I mean, quite a number of publications, say, I don't know many, but very impressive. You are a professor at high school in an institute which is a pearl of the high school education in Italy for technical technological studies. In particular, your department, chemistry, is an example how you can get students to do real fantastic things, innovative things. And I can tell you this because we worked together and I saw what they could do. We publish in high top rank peer review journals, and it's fantastic to work with your institute with you. So the floor is yours.
Thank you, Davide. Can you hear me? Good morning, everybody. I thank the organizers for having me here. Perhaps I need... Okay, so can go on. That's fine. Yes, I am a chemistry teacher, and I know that students are engaged with project-based learning. I teach the first green chemistry course to undergraduate students, and I have to choose some subject. Microplastic is a perfect topic because it's an emergent dramatic problem for the health and the environment, and we know that microplastic research is needed, and in this respect, I'm sure that students are a precious resource to produce vast data sets over large geographical areas. So citizen science can help, but it must go green. Thanks to Venice Lagoon Plastic Free, we used Venice as a case study during the last 2 years, and we went to the Alberoni Oasis and Certosa Island and Sant'Alvise Beach. For the statistical significance of our studies, we have to sample a vast area, and so we sample 1,000 square meters with 15 sampling points and 75 sampling sites. And so here you can see our students at work here and here. They mixed and homogenized all the sand to get representativeness, and they prepare 3 samples that were advanced to the labs. Here you see Sant'Alvise, they are working, and here you see Certosa Island. And so please come with me inside our labs, and as a teacher, I should not teach to measure pollution while polluting. That is a major problem because we must go green. The whole study is inspired by this motto. So, first of all, how do you take microplastics out of sand? Very easy. The principle is as ancient as the Greek time. You have to make microplastic float because in a high solution, in high density solution, for sure, microplastics would float, white sand would sink. So the problem is to choose, to find out a medium that is high density, and the standard medium is, as you can see, zinc chloride. Zinc chloride is used everywhere, but as you may see, it's toxic to the aquatic life. This is counterintuitive. I should not teach my students to pollute while measuring pollution. So we explored 20 different salts and with some constraints. For example, if you want to go with citizen science, the medium should not be expensive, it should not dissolve microplastics, it should not be toxic to the aquatic life. And after this wide gamut of salts, we went for calcium nitrate, that is a fertilizers. So even if in case of leaches, no problem because it has no environmental hazards. So after choosing this salt, we can rest assured that all microplastics would float because the density is higher than the highest, except Teflon. But this is the same with zinc chloride. So we can go on, and we have to analyze the entire workflow. You drive, you sieve, you wait, you float, and then there's another big problem, major problem. Sometimes microplastics are overestimated because you take cellular materials or biopolymers that are microparticles for microplastics. That is not the case. So you need to oxidize what is not microplastics. And you can do this with a green oxidant that is hydrogen peroxide, whose product is only water, simply water. And so this other critical point is dealt with. The next critical point is to separate microplastics in size classes. And sometimes you can do this in a subjective way. Yes, you try to do your best, but it's subjective. On the converse, we took a cascade of sieves so that the retentate on each sieve is already divided according to the pore size. And then we went on with the common workflow. So another issue is the fact that Davide passed me recently a paper concerning the overestimates due to the pollution from the lab environment, and for this reason we dealt with a blank. We put the sand in a muffled furnace, no microplastic was there, and then we treated it normally, and we can subtract what comes from the labs because we know that we also breathe the microplastics. And so let's go very quickly to the results. You have here some images of the biggest microplastics, fragments, and so on with the colors. And here you see the smallest microplastics, fibers, fragments, and beads from the sand of Sant'Alvise. And concerning Alberoni, we have that it is a kind of natural reserve, and the results are parallel, more or less those from other natural resources. And to avoid greenwashing, also with the students, we have to measure greenness, and we can do that with specific metrics. For example, the Agree matrix is what matters. And from going from zinc chloride to calcium nitrate, you go from 0.66 to 0.81. So the improvement is important for sure, and we can do perhaps also better, but it's a green protocol that we published. So this year we move a step further with a new instrument. We had a major problem that we are solving, and in the last week it worked. Yes, good. And you perhaps don't know that you can detect which polymer is inside the microplastic from the way the molecule vibrate. We, as chemists, we know, we speak about bending, rocking, twisting, and so this is very engaging also for the students. This is the instrument, and these are the first result. In this case, you can say for sure that this fiber is polyester, and this fiber is a polyamide, it's not cotton, okay? And this fragment, the blue fragment from the spectrum, you see here, the vibration, molecular vibration, is PVC. Last but not least, what we did just a few days ago, with this instrument, for those who are familiar with chromatography, we recorded the digital fingerprint of volatiles emitted from macroliter that sooner or later will become microplastics. So you will see on the top you see the trace from the Marilliter in Sant'Alvise. We prepare a mixed composite sample with the percentages you gave me, Davide. And you can see some fossil-based molecules coming out of the litter. Below, you see the trace of Venice water from Sant'Alvise. You remember we took the sample, and it's incredible. They match you see a kind of mirroring. What is coming out for plastic is also coming out from water, so we can breathe this micropollutant. This is the first.
Very interesting. I mean, what we
Yeah.
discovered in terms of macroplastic assessment, in a way mirrors what you discover in terms of microplastics.
Yes.
And that's why we need to, I mean, get rid of plastics before they get into water. But when it's in water, we cannot leave them there, because otherwise they turn into invisible pieces and create a lot of mess.
Yes,
Yes.
this prompts the removal, just not to let
That's very
it
important.
inside. And there's another paper with that we, okay.
Upcoming.
Yeah, okay. And so we go to the conclusion. With the Società Chimica Italiana, the Italian Chemical Society, we decided, and Mr. President said, yes, we have to go on with this, with the youth engagement, because I teach chemistry in a chemistry undergraduate school. So in Italy, we are so many all around the coasts. So we have the power to go on with the microplastic monitoring along all the Italian coasts, for sure. We have to, how can I say, we have to go on also with outreach performances in theaters. We have done it with science festivals many times. And if you are interested in cinema, I see the involvement of arts. We will be awarded for a corto, not so corto, a dog film that we are shooting in Giffoni Film Festival, 23rd of July, and we are documenting all the green procedure to monitor microplastics with the story and with the blue mission. Okay, so I thank you for your attention, and Davide and all the organizers for having me here. And I have to thank my colleagues, Arianna Giuliani, Barbieri Roberto, Nadia Fraticelli, all my students during these years, and for sure, Venice Lagoon Plastic Free. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Teresa. You know, it's fantastic because you were on the laboratory, otherwise, you were on the laboratory until, I think, night, and yesterday, in order to share this. So it's brand new stuff. And I guess it will become a publication later on. So fantastic, we compare the macroplastic with the microplastic contaminants. Yeah, very exciting to keep going. Maybe we can also say that we get a private sponsorship for this project. That's very important. And then, yes, well, sorry, time is really, I don't know, it's flying by. So I would like to keep the focus on the microliter monitor assessment. And then we have my colleagues from CClear 2.0 project, Stefan Sodonovsky. Yes, sorry, Mr. McKay. Stefan, the floor is yours. And I can, no, yeah, okay, because after you, we finished the first session, so we have the other channel. No worries. So that was just a wrap up.
Great, thank you so much. And thank you very much again for the invitation to this amazing venue. So it's my pleasure to be here. We have now seen CClear 2 mentioned a couple of times. So now I'd like to kind of lift the mystery wheel a little bit, what it actually is and what we do. And it's actually a multi-robot system that you can see here on this picture that we built for searching, identifying, and collecting marine litter. And if I say we, this is, of course, a consortium of many partners from here, 9 different countries. We have Venice Lagoon Plastic Free as the host here, as one of our partners. And I'm also happy that our colleagues from Isotech are here, and you'll hear more from them in the policy roundtable. And of course, you need the expertise from everyone around Europe, basically.
Stefan, you are from?
I'm from Munich, so I'm right at the center here. We're not a prime hotspot for marine litter and for marine robotics. Still, we love what we do, so this is kind of a hobby project for us to drive the green economy. Okay, so my talk is split in 2 parts. Since this is the kind of monitoring section, I'll first talk about how we find marine litter with the system, and then later on I'll tell you how we actually retrieve it and collect it. So we do both surface and underwater litter monitoring. And for that, our colleagues from the University of Dubrovnik have built this system here, where in a first stage, we have a drone that can actually very efficiently and quickly scan any water body. Here, this is a test run from the Port of Hamburg, where they scanned the harbor area. And on the right-hand side, I'm probably blocking it a little bit for you, but you see that there is actually a live detection of marine litter happening that is floating on the surface. So all the detection is happening by machine learning algorithms on the drone directly. And from that, we already get a very good idea where litter hotspots are, at least on the surface. And then there is a bit of the idea that when there's a lot of stuff floating on the surface, things to the bottom. So these are areas that we want to then also examine a bit closer with our underwater system. I'll tell you a little bit more then how this is actually retrieved in the second part of the talk, but one particular aspect that I'd like to highlight is that with this drone, the colleagues are using multispectral images, because what we can see here actually is that the task for identifying specific materials becomes much more easy if you look at different so-called surface pile indexes or spectral indices, because we can see that, for instance, here this net with the nylon composition of the material pretty much stands out directly from the image, so this makes the detection and identification a lot simpler. Now, since we only have 5 minutes, I cannot really go much into detail, but I also want to talk a bit about the then underwater identification, because this is the focus of our project and where the majority of the litter actually is. And in order to detect that, the colleagues from Delft here developed a system that can, again, in real time on the robot, detect the litter that is seen from a camera image of a drone that goes underwater. And we'll see that in a video also later. So right now, I just want to highlight the algorithms behind that. The nice thing is this algorithm can actually discriminate between 94 classes of items that we can find on the sea surface, not the sea bottom, sorry. And this is quite important because with that, what we get is a live real-time monitoring of marine litter while we do the missions. So this is purely for kind of documentation, and for the collection effort then, it's actually much simpler because all we need to discriminate is between litter, animal, plant, and parts of the robot itself, so that we know exactly what to pick up, so all the litter items, and what to leave there and protect. So specifically the animal and plants classes that we see here, where we were kind of operating in a swarm of little fish, this is quite important to not endanger any flora or fauna that is around, because we want to have a very selective, very careful cleaning approach that is not as destructive as, let's say, dredging, where, of course, everything is removed, but so is everything else, and it takes years or decades to regrow. Quick pointer for the detection and classification rate. So we see that depending on the environmental conditions, this can vary, of course, quite a lot. So we see in field experiments rates between 45 and 95% of correct classifications. It might seem that the 90% are actually for clear water conditions where sight is perfect, but just as a fun fact, machine learning does not work like our vision. So it's actually the other way around. The 90% are in murky water conditions, and the 45% were in clear water conditions, simply because of the training data that we had on the specific conditions. So you need lots and lots and lots of data to actually train your system to be able to then identify that properly. And this was one of the major challenges in the program, because so far there is basically little data on visual images and videos for marine litter on the seafloor. And if we imagine that basically if you see the news and you see that vision algorithms in labs work now kind of perfectly, then you need to remember that they are trained on billions of images. And we don't have those billions, we don't even have millions, we don't even have tens of thousands. But one big part of the project was actually that we had to build our own data set, and I'm quite proud that by now we have the largest underwater litter data set available for free for everyone to download here from Nature publications from our colleagues, so that this was kind of the groundwork to actually make this happen and realizable. And then another thing that we're currently pursuing, because this is quite interesting, as Davide mentioned, especially here in Venice and also in conditions like Hamburg, you cannot work with a camera because your visibility is pretty much tens of centimeters and not meters like we saw in Croatia. So for that, we're currently working on fusing sonar and camera images to also be able to work in these more challenging conditions and to complement the sensors. There is a nice example here. So in the camera image, if you know what you're looking for, you can see the tire that is actually there. But in the sonar image that we have here, if you're used to sonographic images like also the sonar images at a doctor's, then you can actually see this nice donut shape of the tire. And then once you have that information, you also start seeing it in the camera as well. So this helps our system to then be much more robust and reliable in detection for these underwater litter items. Yeah. I know, and with that, it brings me to the end of my first talk.
And okay, this is like, yeah, now we are still presenting, but we close the session of the monitoring.
Exactly.
So from microplastic or microcontaminants, microliter, to macro, and now we go to the removal. And since the C-Clear 2.0 system does this, I mean, you are the best fit for it. So at the same time, we'd like to also invite the other speakers here of the session. Esther, Nicola, Christian, as you can. Dear colleagues, just keep tight, otherwise the policy roundtable is at stake here. Oh, maybe the lunch, yes. Just have your seat. All right. Okay, Steph, you don't need presentation because you represent yourself. You can go forward for that.
All right, then I'll just directly continue,
Yes.
and we should be able to switch to the second part, opening the second session. So now that we found the litter, we're talking about how do we actually get it out. And this again is part of the C-Clear project. So now to speed up a little bit, let's take it step by step. And in the first stage, we said that with the drone, we identify surface litter. And for that, then to actually collect, we built the system here of these two smaller autonomous robots that have a net between them. And they help aggregate the floating litter that you see here. We do that with these little robots because they're quite agile and maneuverable. So especially in ports where there is little space to actually work around, or if it's basically close to such poles, we need this agility, and we cannot use a large vessel to collect the items. And then in the second stage, I'm not showing it here because of brevity of time, the vessel that we have that also does then the underwater collection has a net in between the catamaran hulls, so we can basically just drive over the aggregated trash and collect it. But the much more challenging and interesting part is the underwater retrieval. And for that, step one is that we actually need to really map where is the litter. So we found it in the first step with this visual identification. And this is then registered in a 3D map that we see here. You see here a live feed, the trash is actually detected, and then we see in the left-hand picture that there is this green cube here, then showing in the map where the litter actually is. We need that because then in a second step, we can actually send out the collection robot, so what we call the smart grapple, and this is actually a fully robotic system that can retrieve up to 250 kilogram of weight with around a cubic meter of volume. So that's quite sizable. And we can use that for arbitrary shapes. The Port of Hamburg was quite interested in retrieving these e-scooters because apparently they have a problem with people having a lot of fun tossing them into the port as a sports. So we built this system that is quite dexterous and strong enough to really pull out these heavy items. It's also its own robotic system, so it's fully modular and encapsulated. It has all the computational power on board. It's maneuverable with these little propellers here so that it can actually directly home in on the litter. It's quite dexterous in the sense that we have 8 movable joints to be able to comply and adapt to different shapes, because marine litter comes in all sizes and shapes. And it's also quite sensitive because we can actually feel the force that we are producing on the litter items. And if you imagine that you have very fragile items, we don't want to create more litter items and fractions of that than actually necessary, so we need to be very gentle in this approach here. And it's called smart because it needs some smart features to actually be able to adapt to the shapes. It needs to be able to reconstruct the information of the object to retrieve. And then we can play that on and use that on the real system. But we also developed a digital twin because especially in Munich, you're a bit far from the sea. So we have to test everything in software and simulation first. And then once basically we have identified an item like the chair here, we send out the grapple that then targets this system and retrieves it. And now I'd briefly like to show you the full system. So we'll also show part of the system in the demo later. But for the sake of completeness, we have this multi-robot system here with 7 robots in total. We will only bring the big sea cat, so the catamaran in the center, and the grapple for the demo. So basically the left-hand side that we see here. But then we also have a tender to actually bring the items that we retrieve to shore. We have this mapping robot here that dives and actually searches for the litter on the sea bottom. And we just saw the floating cleaners here. So as we saw in the first video, in the first stage, the drone goes out and searches briefly for any surface items, but it can also act as an overwatch for the system to be able to monitor any vehicles that might approach the system, any swimmers. It might sound a bit far-fetched, but we actually had that a lot. So especially if you're somewhere in a public area, people are really curious about the system and they try to come as close as possible. So this is where the drone actually helps too. We just saw how the Seahawk actually performs this scan. And then once we have the litter found, we can then employ the big Sea Cat. So this is also an autonomous vessel. Nobody's on board. All our systems are fully uncrewed. And this vessel here acts as the central hub. So basically it transports the smaller robots, it provides the power, it provides the computation, and it also helps us generate these 3D maps, the bathymetry of the operating area in which we're then working. We just saw the video of the sea bees then collecting the litter. Here again, you see a close-up of this net that helps to gather this floating litter and actually here encapsulate it and transport it to a location where it can then be safely picked up. And then once we have handled the surface litter, we can go down and really scan the sea bottom with this AUV here that you see that is deployed from the vessel then where it's actually needed. And it can start the close-up scan of the seafloor. So here we see a lawnmower pattern so that it scans a designated area for all this litter, and this is a live view from the onboard camera where it also does the automatic detection. Here we see that it detects the self part of the raft, but also any trash items that we have, or these animals here, the fish from the swarm that was just happening to be close by. And it's actually quite fascinating because these fish and all other animals, they don't seem to be startled by the system. They actually come quite close. Thank God we have some safeguards also on the thrusters and everything so that we don't harm these. But it's quite fascinating that they don't flee, they just stick around. And then the last part we see here, this is an onshore demonstration of the functionality of this grapple here, where we see that with these 4 fingers and 8 joints, it's quite adaptable to these shapes, where then here it retrieves a car seat that we found in Marseille. Actually, you can find any type of trash in Marseille. It's a miracle there. Not good for the environment, great for our tests. Here, this is actually a double catch where we retrieved a tire and a car seat at the same time. Let's see if we are that lucky here in the demonstration in Venice. I really hope so. And the last step then of the system is that this autonomous tender developed by the Fraunhofer Institute in Germany then docks with the system and is kind of acting as the container, the trash chute for bringing then any retrieved trash to shore for further recycling, where then our partners from Veolia are taking care of the recycling process. All right, so that is the end of the video, and that should also bring me to the end of the talk. So I think we can skip here. Just one last point that I want to mention is that CClear is not only a robotic solution, but it's also a participatory solution where we look beyond the pure kind of symptomatic cleanup of with the system, but you'll hear much more about that from ISOTech and VLPF then in the policy roundtable. So now I'm finished. Sorry for the premature. I'll hand back to you. Thank you so much.
Now, I really hope that this technology can have a future in Venice. So that's why later on we have the stakeholder meeting, and we can also advise and suggest and recommend. And there will be the Council of the Regional Veneto joining us at a certain point at the time here. And so it will be our job to support this technology of the mission to our authorities. Thank you, Stefan. Thank you. So we go to the next, sorry, hang on a bit. Esther, it's your turn, I guess, right? From automat, yes, I think so. Yes, so from one autonomous system to another one, right? From the Netherlands, and here we have Esther
Lokhorst. Anyhow, very Dutch, the only Dutch person here, I think. But anyway.
And thank you for being on board.
Thank you for inviting me. It's been an honor to be here and to arrive yesterday in such a beautiful city and such an amazing opportunity. And what I've just seen is absolutely fascinating. I mean, it's a wonderful project, and I hope we get to chat a lot. But Ramarine, let me get this thing. There we go. Yes. Well, I will not delve in the issues of plastic waste and pollution. We've discussed that, so it's huge. And it's great to see so many solutions globally that address this. I think that's amazing. And we are one of them. We're a Dutch company based in Rotterdam. Ramarine is the producer, designer and producer of the Waste Shark. We have the drones, about 100 already globally. And we are very much commercial. We work with partners as well on new technologies, but we try to get these projects to users of ports, marinas, municipalities that need tools for cleaning. What do? We have I will show a picture soon. We do waste collection, so we design and produce the hardware. We have a monitoring system, so we do not only clean, but we also collect all the data. And that's from kilometers traveled to waste collected. We'll continue a bit more on that, but we also have monitoring of water quality. So any customer from a municipality to a port to a water board can determine what they want to measure. We can add it to our drone, and it's real life on our portal. We have an intelligent portal, and it's sent through real time. In addition to doing plastic, we've been around since 2016. We are now focusing on other solutions. So we have a solution for oil spills, small oil spills, not the large ones, blue algae, any algae form. And we're also looking at working with people that have a solution for PFAS. As I said, our drone is fully autonomous, electrically powered, so no fuel. Software, we use LiDAR and cameras for autonomy and for collision avoidance. We have a portal, Ramarine Connect, that provides the data real life. A picture of our product. It's based, maybe a little story. Our founder is from South Africa, and what he saw was the whale shark. And our waste shark is actually based on the whale shark that gently moves through the water and collects waste while going through the water very slowly. Ours is not that high speed, so we do also not harm any wildlife, and I think that's good to know as well. Up to 8 hours swimming time, in principle, depending on how you use it. We have operators that like the speed. Of course, the battery will be less, but in principle, 8 hours. Capacity of 160 liters, in principle. And as I said, it has real-time data, so it comes with RTK and GPS, so 4 or 5G connection. And we use Eureka sensors. We can use other sensors as well, but in principle, we use Eureka sensors for water quality. So think of turbidity, dissolved oxygen, temperature, anything you want to blue algae as well. We can measure that for you. This is our fleet. Our most famous one, all the way your left, is the waste shark. It's 180 centimeters long, sits around 50 centimeters in the water, so really only collects surface waste, which is also why it doesn't harm any marine life. We have the cyano shark introduced this year. It actually kills chemically free blue algae or cyanobacteria. And our newest model is the mega shark, a larger one that collects around 1,000 liters of waste. All near shore, so not offshore, but we are looking at offshore solutions as well. And an interesting trick that we introduced, we get a lot of feedback from customers globally, and operation, of course, is critical for us. I mean, if we produce these wonderful devices and they don't get used, what's the point? People need to use it. So we now made a floating basket, you can see in that corner, which is easy to put in the water, take out the trash, and put it back in and drive over it, and there it goes. Quick concept again, as I said, is not only waste collection, but data is critical. I think we've heard this the whole morning, that data and information is where you can measure impact. And that's where we're focusing on now, is data collection. Because in the end, do you want to demonstrate the impact? But you also want to go to governments, municipalities, and ports to say, this is what you need to do. We need the data. So we gather all types of data, as I mentioned, and we have a platform. That, for us at the moment, is absolutely critical. Our autonomous unit, we have a full autonomous unit and remote control, so you can choose. But our full autonomous unit works with waypoint mapping. We will be working on free moving around as swarms, but an easy way is, like the Roomba, you set out a route, you set up the scope for the drone, and it'll do its thing. It'll just wander around and collect waste as it goes. Key aspects you can see on our portal. You can see the health of the drone. So if there are any issues, we can monitor for the customer as well, but so can you. You can see the battery state, whether it's online, offline. So in principle, very easy. Even and I'm not an engineer, and I can use it. So there you go. Our advantages, I think it's easy to use. It collects 80% reduction. You can use it 24/7 in autonomous mode. We don't see that happening, but we do have a customer that prefers using it at night. So it is possible. Zero, of course, zero exposure to water for employees. And we get feedback. It's loads of fun to use because it's a drone. 100% emission free when in operation. But mostly, and I think that's where I'd like to leave it at, yes, we have devices, but in the end, it's about using. And it's about involving citizens, because in the end, all the waste, without any form of interaction with citizens, and can be NGOs, can be governments, can be ports, whatever, even just the citizen from a municipality or from a city like Venice, they need to know what's going on. They need to understand the consequence of waste and water waste. And that's why we focus data and open access data, so that we can use this to convince citizens, but also governments and corporates even, that this is important and we need to do something about the waste. That's my little speech. There you go.
Thank you. You know, the commitment you put in this enterprise, which is not just about an enterprise as a company, but an enterprise as a personal enterprise, as part of your soul. And so that's why we much look forward to have a nice place to test it, possibly here. And we're seeking for funds and seeking for opportunities to do so. Thank you also for coming to Venice or to deliver this message. And so, next speaker is a colleague from a project, but actually you have a couple projects. You run another innovative solution, and is Nicola Rubini, that is part of the Inspire Consortium. Today,
thank you, Davide.
The floor is yours, Nicola.
Thank you. I'm going to stand here, and really thanks to all the other colleagues for already sharing such inspiring ideas. Already have lots of new ideas running through my mind, but my main objective here today is to briefly present in a nutshell the work we've been doing in the Po River demo site under the project Inspire, and also thanks to the region of Veneto and the collaboration of the friends from Venice Lagoon Plastic Free. So it's really a concert action at this point. Briefly introducing the big picture. So we're talking about the Inspire project, which is an European initiative aimed at deploying prevention, collection, and monitoring solutions across the major European river basins. Now, at the heart of what we're doing in Italy, in the Po River, is what we call the hybrid mold mine system, which is the combination between a floating river cleaning barrier and the clean trash case collection, which is, of course, a combined action to, on one side, collect whichever litter is flowing down the Po River, intercept the litter, and convey it to this clean trash collection cage, and from there, of course, pick it up and analyze it. Now, what we're going to do is not only a lab scale test, but it's actually implementing a real world pilot, which is happening, you will learn in a minute where. It's going to be about showcasing an already technologically mature solution, which can be already replicated in other major river basins, in other all kind of riverine bodies across all Europe, I hope. And the idea is to not only showcase the technology, but to collect data from this approach, an integrated approach, and feed this data into a model, a master tool that will map flows of plastic litter across Europe and will ultimately lead to an easing of governance to help decision makers make informed decision about how do they want to tackle plastic pollution in European basins. So I'm going to briefly speed up about this. Of course, selecting the site was a rigorous process. We need to comply with several criteria to select the proper place. We had 3 candidates, actually. You can see them squared in yellow in the picture. The first was Molo Bridge, which is the northernmost bridge just at the beginning of the Podignocca branch. Then we had the Santa Giulia Bridge, which you can also, you may know as the boat bridge. It's a floating boat bridge. And finally, the Saltwater, which is right before the actual river mouth. So the criteria we had to select this site was to, of course, comply with hydraulic suitability. And here we've been lucky because there's a natural barrier made of sediments, which is actually at the very beginning of the Podignocca River branch, which conveys the majority of debris and also of litter in this single branch of the Po River Delta. So this ensures that the location we selected is actually scientifically relevant. Then we had to comply with access and safety. Of course, the team need to reach the location properly without any safety issues, and operations can also have to occur basically on a weekly or monthly basis to empty the cage and analyze and collect all this litter. So we needed to make sure that that was possible, actually. Then the place had to be a monitoring potential, and we had 2 bridges that could be used to adapt monitoring cameras. So they would act as stable platform to implement monitoring solutions. And finally, of course, we had to be sure that authorizations can actually be deployed by the interregional agency of Po River. Ultimately, we evaluated all these 3 places. The one that was selected was the Santa Giulia Bridge, which you can see with the drone picture in the bottom part of the slide. It was selected because it has favorable hydraulics. The boat bridge actually provides natural protection against wooden debris that are coming down during high tide, high flow events in the river. And it was also easy enough to access for maintenance and installation. And it had the pre-authorization of IPO to operate there, because there's also a port located on the other side of the river that could be used to stock and enable litter analysis at a later stage. Now this is a 3D image representing which is the final setup of the hybrid system. On the left, you have the center of the river. On the right, you have the riverbank. So the long element is the mold barrier, which extends from the center of the river towards the riverbank, and it is aimed at collecting the plastic litter. Then on the right side, you have the square box, which is the clean trash collection cage. It is a semi-automatic cage with 2 levels, storing up to 600 kilograms of plastic each time. And then, of course, you have this platform made of boats, which is used to dock heavy-duty booms in order to protect the system when it's not operational from debris getting inside the collection cage. So just to wrap the system itself, we have the river cleaning barrier, which stops litter. We have the mine's clean trash collection cage, which stores litter. Then, of course, we have the help of our colleagues from CNR, which will analyze litter samples and coordinate, of course, all the stakeholders. On a parallel side, we will have AIT and VTO cameras, which will monitor litter upstream on the Northern Bridge and on site on the boat bridge. Now, right up until now, we've talked about mechanical deployment and hardware stuff. But where the innovation is actually made in this project is on how sensors and data monitoring is integrated in mechanical hardware solutions. The first thing I want to say is that the mold barrier is completely automated and remotely controlled. We have running data, live streamed and cross-checked 24/7 from inclination sensors, flow meters, a dual radar that will control in each moment the flow and the height of the water column. And this enables us to deploy what we call a progressive immersion protocol, which means on normal condition, the barrier stays floating on top of the water. But as soon as the flow of the river becomes to increase and becomes stronger and stronger, the barrier automatically lifts itself bit by bit to reduce the strength applied on the barrier itself, and it makes it safer and safer, and it can operate continuously even under harsh conditions such as storm waters, for example. Then, of course, it is all solar powered, so no need for external electrical supply. Then we go, of course, into the identification, because we have all the fixed cameras I described later. This will stream into an edge node running on the YOLO protocol, which is already trained on riverine datasets, so it can recognize what actually is being captured. The data will be tracked by the strong sort algorithm, which will assign unique IDs to the pieces of litter it collects. And this, of course, leads to a stronger identification and avoids actually double counts. And then we go into data analytics. So all annotated data are transmitted into the central COCO annotator, which is a server, and uses the data to provide real-time statistics and reporting. So in short, what we have is a reactive barrier plus a semi-automatic collection cage plus streamlined monitoring and identification. So this makes this pilot the first smart integrated anti-pollution system tried on Italy. And I'm very proud that this happens in the pilots of Po River. Now, going toward the end, I have to mention, of course, that this site provided challenges, mainly hydrological variability. There's variable flows. We know Po River can be harsh conditions. There's tidal influence to take into account. So basically, the flow of the water reversing 4 times per day. There's floods to be taken into account. You can see how much food and debris there's actually several times per year down the Po River. So this called for adaptive and resilient solutions. It is a sensitive location because it lies in the Natura 2000 network, so it is a protected area. And this is also the reason why we implemented continuous monitoring and impact mitigation measures. We had to comply with safety, so keeping the whole river open for boat passing, both for maintenance of the salt barrier and the pontoon and the boat bridge. And finally, of course, we had to coordinate between several river authorities and several municipalities and public stakeholders to make sure that all operations and proper management of the demo site would be conducted seamlessly. We expect... Out of time. Okay, I will wrap it up. So briefly mentioning that this model, which will be demonstrated as a commercializable technology, will also be replicated. We're already working towards replicating it with the Calabria region, in the Gulf of Naples, and also in the Scumbini River in Albania, in future projects we are already working in. I just want to share one piece of advice for as key takeaways learned from this pilot. The first is that when we talk about applying innovation, we cannot, we must adapt to local conditions, and we must involve operations, including local actors, local players already operating in the market. Otherwise, innovations will not simply reach the market because they're not applicable. Deployment happens when installation is co-created, and this again returns the topic of involving stakeholders early, involving the community, involving people who are actually active on the field. And the third topic is that, of course, technology is important, hardware is important, but what makes the difference in terms of significance for governance, that is data. Because on the ultimate side, trial and data we can cover with technology, but we as humans have the unique capability of turning data into knowledge by giving meaning to these informations we collect. And this is the basis to take action. And this, of course, is governance. So thank you very much. Thanks for the patience, and open to questions
and this
after
is
the session.
This is struggle. It's a everyday struggle. Okay, thank you, Nicola. Thank you very much. And we'll see when the system will be deployed. And yeah, because also we have to check what the region, what is happening, and so I'm very excited. So keep close eye on this. Thank you. And then, last but not least, Christian Carboni, who is a business development manager of De Nora Water Technologies. Christian, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Okay, first of all, thank you for inviting me to this meeting. It was a very pleasure to me come back. When I was a child, I lived in Castello, near Riviera to here, yes. And this is a nice comeback to me in Venice. Okay, Davide asked me to make a very simple discussion topics, depolluting new emerging contaminants, no? Very simple, we can achieve in 5 minutes, but don't worry, I have really 4 slides only. I want to give a general introduction of this topic. I put one example with this live cascade project that we have developed with a lot of partners, University of Brescia, Politecnico Milano, and so on. But it is a project for takeout of microplastic and PFAS, that is also not topic here in Veneto, because there is a spot, as you know, as a practical example of the topics I wanted to address today. Only one slide about De Nora. De Nora is a multinational company, electrochemistry. We developed Amukina, which is one of the bigger first patents that we had. We sold to Angelini. And we make system for electrochemistry and take out the pollution from water, also on topics on pharmaceutical removal linked to the new Urban Wastewater Treatment Directive, or also for PFAS and so on. Okay, first general topic I wanted to address today is that we need a shift of paradigm. Why? I put some example here. Microplastic, PFAS, TFA, pass the urban wastewater treatment plant. In a lot of cases, pass also the drinking water plant. We are implementing in Veneto, in other regions, granulate activated carbon, for example, for take out PFAS. but microplastic pass through, and also TFA that are ultra short PFAS, C2, pass through this system. This meaning the utility are looking for resin or reverse osmosis, but as you can understand, it's not so simple to put a reverse osmosis in a drinking water plant or in urban wastewater plant, no? Second one, we need also, for example, with the European Commission, I have a big appreciation because the new regulation started from the drinking water, switched from an approach to compliance to limits to a risk approach. This is the first shift of paradigm that I like a lot. I like a lot also the revision of a lot of directives, starting from drinking water, but also for the new urban wastewater. I hope one day we can make an update of the bathing water with a delegate act or something, no, because it is old. Also some parameters are too much old. But making this revision of all the directive can help to us to have a holistic view. But because for take out of this pollution, it's important to move near to the source. Because when PFAS, pharmaceutical, microplastic are everywhere, with antibiotics, we make bacteria resistant to antibiotics. Where we have a PFAS or microplastic in all the river, in all the sea, in all the plant that we eat, because we use this water from surface water to irrigation, they go on soil everywhere, on plant everywhere, how we can take out. And for this, I appreciate another shift paradigm, extended producer responsibility. Who polluted pay? Because we cannot put the money in charge to population if someone is polluted. We need to develop products that pollute less, take out PFAS or microplastic everywhere we can. And if someone polluted, they need to pay. Okay? And other things. We need to understand that there is no only one technology that can solve a problem. I put some example here. We know we have polluted that could be oxidized, other could be absorbed, other cannot be oxidized and absorbed. If we are talking about the urban wastewater directive, this meaning take out pharmaceutical from the urban wastewater treatment plant, some pharma are destroyed by ozonation, oxidation, but other we can talk only with the GSC, and other one only with PAC. This meaning we cannot have a standard solution for all this kind of water, and this give complexity to the system. And also we need to take care to the other directive, because the European Commission put attention not only for take out pharma, but also for energy neutrality, for reducing CO2 emission. And when we think to do, to apply a technology for solve a problem, to take out the pollutants, we need to take care to all these aspects. Because if we use a lot of energy, for producing this energy, we use oil, we increase the CO2. No? Which means we need to take attention to make system sustainable from an economic point of view, an energy point of view, and CO2 emission. I put here one example for, here. Okay, for example, one of the problems for take out PFAS or pharma is changing GSC. Okay, when you use granulated activated carbon, it's like a sponge, no? They make absorption of everything, also organics, and you need to change every year. In Veneto, there was a plant in Vicenza, but now it's closed because the OpEx cost is too big, no? And now we take the water from Padova and send it to Vicenza. I give an example. If we make a combination of two technology, ozone before granulated activated carbon, we make an oxidation of organic. We don't use 3 milligrams of ozone as usual. We use 0.5, reducing energy, okay? And the lifetime of GSC increased 3 times more. This meaning less GSC, this meaning less thermal regeneration, less CO2, and less energy. And less cost of ownership, okay? This means sustainability from a technical point of view, environmental point of view, but also on total cost of ownership. Because sometimes, in particular, utility, because they need to have to address budget, as we in De Nora, we are looking sometimes for the cheaper investment in CapEx, for example, no? But we cannot look only investment in CapEx, in tank, or buy the cheaper GSC, because we need to understand the lifetime of a project, when we need to regenerate, how much it costs, what is the chemical impact or environmental impact to disposal, and so on. This meaning we need to another change of approach to take care of the total cost of energy. And for this reason, the only way is sometimes to make experiments. This is an example, small pilot, 2 meters, plus or more high me, but we send to the utility with the donation to check in real water what could be the GSC on the left column. We put 4 samples of GSC, 2 samples of resin, we put ozone before, and we check the combination that can solve the problem in the cheaper way. Like Cascade is the example of the project funded from the European Commission, where have this kind of approach. We are trying to move in near to the source of pollution, this meaning, you know that textile have both the problem. Microplastic is one of the source of big pollution, microplastic, and the PFAS. Now they are trying to moving out from PFAS, but a lot of companies are using PFAS now for making dress waterproof, okay? Like Cascade, make piloting, have 3 kinds of action. This is last slide, don't worry. Analyze, try the way for finding microplastic and PFAS in wastewater, industrial, in wastewater from municipal, and this is large, not so simple to monitorize and to measure PFAS and microplastic in the sludge. Try to remove with pilot unit near to the source of pollution, meaning inside to the factory, and near to the centralized system, in the centralized system, which meaning was water treatment plant, okay? Before they are going to the river and to the sea. Okay, and I don't want to go deep in the project because we are under schedule. I put only one slide with this QR code. In this way, when they share the presentation with you, you can have all the partnership, all the information, all the results in the website. I'm staying on the time?
Yes, I think you're the only one. Thank you, Christian. I think it's a hell of, I would say, work. I mean, to be profitable because you are a multinational company, to be sustainable, to use less energy input, also considering what is happening nowadays, and to be effective in what you ask for, which is really challenging. And that's, as you say, those also try to cooperating together in the last project, understand what is in the water, which is something that is difficult, especially new emerging pollutants. And so it's a real, I would say, a frontier of research, industry, and innovation. So, well, we'll see more in the near future. Thank you. And thank you for the life. You bring life, life project, that you also life, you clean waters, of course. And it's nice to have also the life program on board and in this venue. Thank you very much for this too. Well, I guess that I don't know if there are any other questions around because we are really, do you want to do after? Thank you. And Mariam is our young colleague, Mariam. And then if you want to go back to your previous seats, and thank you very much, guys. Thank you very much, colleagues. Okay, so Mariam, you are the next chairperson.
Yes.
So I hand over to you.
Thank you.
And so now we have the third session, right?
Exactly.
Recommendation. 10 minutes, please, because we're out of time. Thank you.
We got to move fast.
Yes.
So hello, everyone. My name is Mariam Tawfiq, and I am the Communications and Project Support Officer for Venice Lagoon Plastic Free. It is a real pleasure for me to be chairing this third and final session today. We've been speaking about how to monitor marine litter, how to remove it, but I think now, in my opinion, we're reaching the most ambitious question, which is, what do we actually do with it? So this is where the blue circular economy comes in. And it's really about preventing waste and also reusing marine resources as long as possible. It also hits the heart of the EU mission Restore Our Oceans and Waters, as we've seen before. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our first speaker, Mr. Alessandro Silvestri. Mr. Silvestri has over 20 years of experience in developing European innovation ecosystems across Europe, and he's also the co-founder of Malta Accelerate. Please welcome Mr. Silvestri.
Maybe the clicker. Okay, first of all, I wanted to thank our colleagues from Venice Lagoon Plastics Free, Gerardo and Davide, to have invited me again. Oh, well, to invited me again for the second year in a row, but this year it's one more majorly important reason to be here, because we are sharing a project together. The Mediterranean Blue Economy Hubs is a project funded by ENFAF, and as Malta Accelerate, we are responsible for Work Package 4, which looks after innovation and commercialization. And let's dive into a few information. It's only 5 slides. I'll be very brief. Now, as I mentioned, the project is co-funded by ENFAF. It's a 2-year project, started last November, and it will terminate on in November 2027. And we are 11 partners apart from our German partners, the others are all from Mediterranean countries. And the main objectives of the project are to boost sustainable growth in the blue economy sector in the Western Mediterranean, to stimulate the creation of interregional relations in order to enhance the efficiencies of the value chain in blue economy in the Mediterranean basin, and to support innovative blue economy solutions. Now, how we are trying to achieve the set objectives with a number of actions. We recently closed a call for startups developing innovative solutions in a number of blue economy verticals. And I would like to say that we received, despite the call was not global, only European, we received an amazing number of applications, over 115, which means that only in Europe we have an exceptional number of young talents, entrepreneurs, startups that are doing a fantastic job to help our oceans. In parallel, we have been creating 2 test beds, 2 innovation hubs, one in Cartagena, in Spain, the other in Naples, that will serve as test beds for the 15 startups that we onboarded to test and pilot the solutions. The third element, as I just mentioned, is giving possibility to the 15 startups to have access to test sites, to field sites, which will be between Cartagena and Naples, but also we benefit from a number of testbed partners across Europe. Fourth, last but not least, we are engaging stakeholders, we are engaging the society, and how we are doing that by a number of events held both online and in person. The 2 test beds, they focus, Cartagena main focus is marine renewable energy, whilst the Alpha Hub in Naples focuses on sustainable fishing. Then we have two more verticals, blue economy verticals, which are shared between both test beds. And those are smart ports and marinas and aquaculture and fish farming. So please feel free to approach me later during the break if you have any questions or if you, wish to have further details. And these are the partners of the project. And again, thank you for the opportunity to present the project.
Thank you so much, Alessandro. That was amazing. And we are also very happy to be part of this project as Venice Lagoon Plastic Free. So our next presentation is part of the Joinable project, and we have a very special guest here, Mr. Daniel Sturcic, who is the mayor of Punat and also the coordinator of the project. Welcome. And the speaker of the presentation is actually Mr. Dejan Kosic. Hello, welcome, who is the technical director and will be presenting about how to turn marine litter into valuable products. Great to have you both here.
Thank you.
Yes, of course.
I will be very shortly, and then I will leave the floor to Dejan. I think that there are a lot more special people here than I am, and I'm very happy to be here to meet you all, to meet all the projects that you are working. I'm here as a lead partner, as the mayor of the lead partner of Joinable project. It's a very important project to us. I think that at our place, we are from the municipality of Punat, island of Krk, Croatia. I think we really have a clear and clean sea, and we take a lot of care about waste management and everything, but to keep that on that kind of position, we need to improve every time that we can. Dejan here, he is an external expert in the project Joinable. He is for waste management and for blue circular economy waste to product management, and he mostly, as I can see, most of you here are technical people, doctors and something like that, faculty and entrepreneurs. So I don't want to speak anymore about politics or something like that. I will leave the floor to Dejan. Thank you very much, Davide, all the people from VLPF. Thank you for calling me here, for inviting me, and I'm really glad and happy to be here with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel, and also thank you, David, Gerardo, and all to have a possibility to have this presentation for you. And Joinable is one project that we want to make another step, and this step is that after the cleanup and after the monitoring, what to do with this material. And the idea is that we can make recycling of this material after the cleanup. And the steps for the recycling is that during the cleanup, we sort first the material into the plastic that it can be recycled, the plastic that cannot be recycled, and the other material. And after that, the plastic that can be recycled, we make some kind of investigation that we can see what kind of the polymer we have in front of us. Usually, after the cleanup, we have a polypropylene, polyethylene high density, polyethylene low density, and PET material. This four material is the great kind of material that we found after the cleanup. After that, we produce the granulates from these materials. And after that, it's very important to make testing to see what is the quality of the granulates and what kind of the product we can produce from that granulates. It's depend of the after the cleaning, if it's some material is the new or the already bad material, and is depending about that. The production, the products that we will produce in joinable will be from polypropylene. We will produce this kind of the beans. We already have some production of these beans during the Inoplastic project, which is one Horizon research project. And after that, from polyethylene high density, the idea is to produce the baskets for the new cleaning ups. After that, from the polyethylene low density, the idea is to have the production of the bags also for the new clean up, for the new beach cleanup. And some innovative products that the granulates that we will have after the project, we want to register this product as plastic-free C material, the new kind of material. And we hope that also we will have some new material like these sunglasses that we produced already in that Inoplastic Horizon project. And some kind of material like the plates, as you can see on the picture, for using this material into the offices or something like that. And yeah, that's it from me. Thank you very much for your time, and enjoy the rest of presentations. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dan. That was really great. And our third speaker is Mr. Daniele Spinelli, who is the Senior Project Manager at Next Technology Tecnotessile. We're really happy to have you, and he will be representing the Remedies project today.
Thank you. So first of all, thanks to my friends, I can say, David and Gerardo, and for hosting us. And so it's the first time for our organization to be here, and I hope that will be not the last, but we can continue in the future. So Next Technology Tecnotextile is a textile research organization founded a long time ago, 1972, and located in Prato. We are supporting companies to be competitive on the market in terms of products and process level. We are 13 people at the moment, and we are involved in several challenges. The first one is the circularity. So you know that textile has a big problem to be solved. And also from our side, we are involved in technologies that are aiming for the fiber-to-fiber approach. So we have a lot of work to do in this field, starting from the sorting, also this is the first point of the recycling, and then through different mechanical or chemical recycling approaches that can be included in the value chain. The other point is also the circular bioeconomy. I think that this point needs to be stressed, and it's really important, because bioeconomy can support and be better than fossil-based one, but need also to be again circular. And the bioeconomy is oriented on development on bio-based materials, and I will share you some results from the remedies project, but also the part of biochemicals is really important. And I'm referring also on the topic of PFAS contamination that was mentioned before. So our institution is also currently involved in new projects and collaboration at European level for alternative to PFAS and in general substances of concern that are related to the textile finishing. So textile as a sector has a pressure not only for CO2 emission or for the use of mass, because we are using polymers and natural fiber, but also the chemistry. Also the part of the dyeing and finishing is not only for water use, and a lot of water is used on the textile manufacturing, but also try to find alternative to conventional chemicals. And also, as I can see, we are involved in a different network at the European level to push the sustainability of the textile industry. And I'm referring to sustainability not only for environmental point of view, but also for the socio-economic aspect, because also these are important to be mentioned. So Remedies is a funded project from Mission Program, and we are 23 partners from 12 countries, so really a wide representation of Europe, mainly to join effort to support a new innovative and solution to reduce plastics from the Mediterranean Sea. So you see that we are also several partners from Italy, and specifically we are involved in activities related to or valorization of recovered plastics, for which we can propose a new solution for the market, but solution that need to come from sort of upcycling, because we're starting from a waste, but a waste is a value. That is the challenge that we need to have in our mind. So could be a value, but we need to transform a waste in something of added value. There is also the market of downcycling application, but we need to aim to upcycling. This is because also the fiber-to-fiber approach is oriented for the textile industry. So, as you know, in Mediterranean Sea is very rich in biodiversity, and we need to keep this biodiversity because it's a value. And we need also to take into account the touristic trades, international movements among Europe, and try to keep our lands and ocean more clean for the future. And also, Remedies want not only to apply circular approaches, but also to support citizens, to engage different stakeholders that can, in any case, challenge the Mediterranean area in the sense that we need to have a more clean Mediterranean area. And that it's also important to create a new movement, a new value chain, because we start from a waste, but sometimes we need to develop and implement a new value chain when we are including new products or new raw materials in the market. So, as I said, what we are reaching in the project, try to detect and monitoring the marine plastic litter using new and different technological approaches, collection and valorization, and also prevent and try to reach a zero waste and reuse approach also. So going specifically on entity activities, so why we have proposed the use of bio-based materials? So bio-based materials are considered alternative to fossil-based one, because also they are starting from renewables materials. The feedstock is not fossil-based. We are using materials with less CO2 reduction compared to the use of synthetic ones. Sometimes also these bio-based polymers are considered compostable or not. and they are compliant with EU regulation and also EU textile strategy. This is because, as you see, some of them are like PLA or PHA or something bio-based polymer is available on the market. And some of them are quite interesting for application. Specifically, I'm referring to technical textile and fishing nets and gears that we have implemented in the project. So, just to summarize, when we are developing new products like fishing nets, we start from the polymer. We need to better define the chemistry of the polymer. Try also to include some additives because we need to fit as much as possible the mechanical and chemical properties compared to the benchmark, because the benchmark is our reference, and try to spin material to obtain yarns. And as you can see, we realized several samples of fishing nets and ropes that are currently under testing in different demo sites like Sardinia and Cyclades. And so the project will be ended by this year, and so I hope that we can reach good results. Thank you for today.
Thank you so much. That was truly interesting. Now we have our last speaker, Ms. Natasha Yamamura, who is the CEO of Algae Scope, a startup that's based right here in Venice. Please welcome.
Okay, thank you very much for the introduction. So my name is Natasha Yamamura from Algae Scope. It's a startup based in Venice. And I got yelled at Davide yesterday because I have 24 slides because I'm so passionate about this project. I wanted to show all the projects that we're working on. So I'll go really quickly, but if you do have any questions, please stop me or my colleague Fiona, who's sitting in the room. So what is seaweed and why it's important? Essentially, there's 1,500 different species of seaweed, and we know how to grow and eat about 10 to 20. It drops into 3 categories: green, brown, and red. And it's important to know that half of our oxygen is made from marine organisms like seaweed, and it can absorb up to 20 times more CO2 than trees. It could be used as an integrated way to grow seaweed with aquaculture, for example, for Italy, that can create more jobs, and you can make different materials like plastic replacement or a PFAS replacement that we're working on. So I want to show you some of our examples of projects. We were showing how to grow seaweed in Italy because there's no seaweed farming in Italy. So we have taken this location in Taranto where they struggled from industrial pollution, and they have mussel farming, but during the summer it gets too hot and a lot of the mussels die. So what we did was we will put the seaweed farming right next to the mussel farmer, so it can actually absorb the nutrient deposit from the mussels, and it helps grow the seaweed. So our results showed very promising results. After 10 days, the biomass doubled, and after 15 days, it tripled. And so we want to continue this research, but I want to show you what kind of products you can make from this ulva species. Actually, if you can extract, there's a lot of protein, there's different activated components, vitamins, and I'm going to talk about that project in a later slide. It's called the Marmaid Project, and some of our partners are here in this room. The mineral could be used as soil stimulant because you're taking the phosphorus and the nitrogen from the ocean, and then you can recycle it as biostimulant, which can replace some of the PFAS that is used in agriculture. And the rest of the biomass, we could use it as our technology to a PFAS alternative. Ooh. So a little bit of summary. Italy has the longest coastline in Europe, and there's no seaweed farming. Many mussels and aquaculture are suffering because of the rising temperature, pollution, and we talked about a lot of the PFAS. So the Veneto region actually struggles from PFAS pollution, and our technology can replace this PFAS using seaweed biomass. And everyone's talking about PFAS, but just so we will be clear, what is PFAS? It's actually used in different places, like in textile, on your furniture, cartons, to make the material water or fireproof. Even like inside the pizza box, there's often there's like a layer of PFAS to make the cardboard stronger against the heat. But it's very toxic and it's got the forever chemicals, so it is linked to cancer, infertility, obesity, Alzheimer, and pollution that the government spends 84 billion euros every year on this cost. So in different countries, they're banning PFAS in textile, especially in France, in Denmark, and then in California. And the industries are in need of a replacement. So we have come up with a solution where the seaweed biomass could be having a property of water resistancy on textile, and it also has a fire-resistant property. So before the material will burn through very quickly, and after the coating, it resists to the flame. And it's a patented technology that was born here in Venice. What can we use this powder for? We could use it for home furnishing, insulation, workwear, and also flame retardant for other applications, like I said, for the pizza box, or even in electronics. So a lot of your electronic devices has a fire-resistant chemical that's called halogen, which is also quite toxic. And the same powder could be used to trap PFAS. So we could use it as a filtering. So some of the examples that we worked with is like inside a cruise ship. The material has to be fireproof, but also waterproof. So these are some of the sort of supply chains that we worked with. We started talking to the shipbuilder that introduced us to the textile company, etc. And then we're also working on like polyester made from sugar cane. We have, these are some of the sort of more scientific data that we gathered with our powder compared to PFAS. We have an 88% reduction on CO2 emission. And yes, this technology has been patented internationally, and then next year we need to choose which countries to activate it. These are some of the results also, that the first prototype that we made in the middle, it sees like the powder is still clustered, but we managed to find a way to distribute it more evenly. The packaging company was really happy with the color. By mixing it different percentage, you had different sort of color combination, which looked really great. And so why our solution is special? Because seaweed is everywhere. Like you could buy it for very cheap. This could scale. And we have multiple uses, not just for PFAS, but we could trap PFAS using this. It's resilient, very safe, because we're transforming the seaweed biomass, but very in a natural way. And it's regulatory compliant. So this is our team. You will see Fiona in the room with me today. Our chief scientist officer is in Australia. He has about 160 publications on material. And Alejandra also worked in the chemical industry for over 25 years. Our roadmap, we want to scale this business. It will be a great opportunity to do it in Italy. And last but not least, this Horizon project that I showed, there was a component where they're extracting the bioactive molecules for protein, vitamins, etc. And this is the project, it's called Mermaid. And we are in charge of species selection. So we actually selected 6 species that are understudied for food and feed use. So thank you very much. And 8 minutes, Davide.
Thank you so much, Natasha. It was great to have all of our speakers here today. And now,
So now Any questions?
Yeah, if you have any questions, we have some time for that. Please go ahead.
Maybe no time, but...
Maybe quick, very quick.
Sometimes you need to know time. Coffee machine. Well, maybe downstairs. No, there's a coffee coupon for it. All right, so maybe we can give the floor to our friends, gondolier friends, the artists, huh? And then I kindly ask our guests to leave the space for...
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much again. Thank you.
Si chiama Jenny.
Ok. Fai tu questo.
Okay, yeah. Hello, everybody. Jenny, please come and present this incredible series of pictures. So, Jenny, Ettore, please.
I'm not so used to speaking in public, so please excuse my...
Either.
A little bit. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you. So first of all, we would like to thank the Venice Lagoon Plastic Free, the organization, for this fantastic opportunity. So thank you very much. So first of all, we would like to tell you a little bit about ourselves and what we do, and then we would like to explain the project, which you actually can see just around you, all the pictures that we have. So Officina Fotografica numero 4 is a collective of 7 artists dedicated to photography as an artistic language and a tool for contemporary reflection. Conceived as a permanent laboratory of experimentation, the group blends diverse sensibilities within a collaborative creative process that explores portraiture and visual storytelling. The collective's practice combines the precision of large format and digital systems with a rediscovery of historical analog techniques. In contrast to the fast consumption of images, Officina Fotografica numero 4 promotes a thoughtful, handcrafted approach to creation, emphasizing the physicality of the artwork. Within its equipped studio, featuring set designs and a darkroom, the collective manages the entire production cycles from conceptual development to final printing. Therefore, Officina Fotografica numero 4 establishes itself as an independent platform for producing projects that offer new perspectives on the contemporary language of photography. So the ink that was actually used for the pictures that you see around you is actually biodegradable as well. So this project portrays a disturbing sense of normality. Plastic doesn't just invade the environment, it passes through us, enters our daily gestures and becomes part of our identity. It's no longer waste, it's companionship, dependence, a constant presence, a material designed to last, which ultimately ends up defining us. The photographs do not aim to provide immediate solutions, they seek to interrupt the flow and create friction. They ask the viewer to look without distraction and confront a simple, radical question. How much of this plastic have we already become? The journey we propose is not apocalyptic, it's reflective. It doesn't portray a distant future, but the present we live in every day without noticing it. If the images are unsettling, it's because they're close. If they linger in their mind, it's because they speak about us, our bodies, our air, and our habits. So there is no outcry, only a transparency that we can no longer remove from our skin. Thank you. We will also... We're actually distributing some QR codes, so you can actually see the projects on our website. And if you need any more codes, you will find them downstairs by the exit. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. We're free for any questions if you have.
Thank you so much. I think that you have We have some minutes to watch around after that. I think it would be fantastic. So the way to become aware of what's happened around us is also through art. And we have not to forget or neglect this important part of the expression of human beings. So thank you very much for bringing this technology, but it's also art. It's humanities and natural sciences combined together and today. So thank you again for this. I know it's a long journey today, but actually we have something interactive, right? Yes. Okay, so we'd like to give the floor to our dear colleagues from Cyprus, Isotech. Xenia and Demetra, floor is yours.
Thank you, David. Since morning, we've been following the technical part of marine litter and how we can get rid of plastic in our lives. But before starting, I would like to thank also David and Geraldo for this event. And I am really excited to be in the Salone Nautica of Venezia. And today, we are going to do actually 2 participatory activities within the framework of Sea Clear 2. The Sea Clear 2 is the Horizon project that Stefan already presented with the robots. What we are trying to do in Sea Clear 2 is to find the blue technologies that will save us from the litter, especially marine litter, which is on seabed or on the surface of the sea. But apart from the robots and AI, still yet the decisions are taken by humans. So we are here with you, and thank you for having the patience to be here until now. We are going to do a process to see your hierarchy on different axes of problems that have been identified through the stakeholder participatory events that we did in 11 countries until now, with more than 200 stakeholders saying their views and the solutions they suggest for marine litter problem. So what we want you to do here, and Dimitra will go through this. Dimitra, you will start the presentation. Just I wanted to do an introduction. As, you have 2 4 axes in this. We will use this to do this participatory process. Okay, Dimitra, you will start the presentation and we will continue.
Thank you, Xenia. Okay, I think you can hear me. I'm not going to stick to this slide because you've already seen the Sea Clear 2 system, but I'm going to start by something or somewhere where Stefan ended, actually. Stefan mentioned that the Sea Clear project is not about technology. It brings people to talk about the issue of marine litter, and it also has a significant part of its work is about policy making. We are trying to identify how and make suggestions to the European Commission as to how policies can be revised, how policies can be improved to better address marine litter and waste management around Europe. And we're doing that through a stepped process. So we started by an analysis of the European framework, of course, and the international framework, where we identify some loopholes within the European policy. And we've published a report about that, and we've also recently published a paper that you can download when you scan that QR code there. But we want to couple that with real experiences of people working on the ground, people seeing marine litter in their everyday life. So like Xenia said, what we've done is we've been doing a series of workshops in 11 countries, mostly in the Mediterranean, speaking with people who are either affected by or can make decisions that can affect how we deal with marine litter in each of these areas. And we want to hear what they consider are their main gaps and needs, and what they consider to be effective solutions, because like Elisabetta Balzi said earlier this morning, the Mission Oceans is not just about Europe in general, but it's about site-specific solutions that are relevant to each of the areas where we're working and where we have marine litter. And we are presenting some of these solutions that would identify to you the most important ones today. And we want to get your feedback, because you're all working in this area in some way or another. So we want to hear what your views are about where the priorities for policy revisions and policy improvements, if you would like, can be. And all of this information that we will gather from you today will be compiled in a white paper that we will submit to the Commission by the end of the year. So your feedback is very valuable. We thank you for taking your time. We know we're standing between you and lunch, so we will try to do this as interactively as possible. And I think, so this is just a summary of basically the methods. It's evidence-based, both from real policy analysis, but from real people. It's inclusive. We've involved over 200 people, plus you here today, and we aim to have an impact. We don't want to just produce a paper that would just stay there. We want this paper to be impactful. Very, very briefly, we've analyzed a lot of policies. We looked at 21 European policy documents and frameworks that address or reach out to the issue of marine litter in some way. We looked at strategies and action plans of the European Commission. Those are the policies that set the direction where we want to go. We looked at regulations, and these are basically policies that need to be implemented horizontally across member states. And we also looked at directives, which are, again, European policies, but that give the member states some options as to how they want to apply their provisions. We also looked at some policies that are relevant to the technical or commercial aspects of our system that we're developing. And we also analyzed multilateral and international agreements further to the European ones that could affect how our neighbors deal with the issue of marine litter, for example. Our conclusions and recommendations are split into these 4 categories that you see here: design and prevention, waste management, marine litter, technological innovation. And our goal today, like Xenia said, is to get your feedback, to validate these recommendations, and see which are the ones that we should be focusing on. As we don't have a lot of time today, we will be using Slido, so you're very welcome to use your phones. I'll put up a link in a little bit. But as time is tight, and we know that some of you might have additional input that you would like to share, at the end of the presentation there's a QR code. Feel free to scan it, send us any comments you have, leave your contact details if you would like to discuss further, and we will reach out to you to organize an online meeting to go through anything that you wish to discuss. So you have in front of you printouts as well. We don't normally print out, but we were aware of the time, so we wanted to make sure you have all the information and more than what we can share through the slides. Feel free to refer to them as we go through the recommendations that we came up with. So starting first with design and prevention. The first recommendation is to strengthen the focus on prevention. All the European policies are basically made on the premise that we will continue to produce plastic. Plastic waste is expected to increase significantly in the coming decades. And while that might be true, we feel like there needs to be a point where we start setting prevention targets. Not for everything, obviously, because plastic is an integral part of our everyday activity, but there are some areas where prevention needs to become a priority. The European Commission has, in recent years, published the Eco-Design Regulation. This is a regulation that basically mandates how products need to be designed in a safer and more sustainable way, which is excellent. But this regulation does not include plastics and polymers in its first work program. Our recommendation is that this should be included as a priority, at least in the immediately next work program, because it also relates to some of the other priorities that the Commission has set. For example, textiles, as we heard earlier. The eco-design regulation also includes a ban on the destruction of unsold products. I don't know if you know about this, but when we first heard about it, it was a bit shocking. So a lot of companies, especially luxury brands, but not only, if they have excess produce at the end of the year, they destroy it so that it doesn't end up in the black market and it doesn't bring the value of their products down. So the eco-design regulation very correctly bans the destruction of unused textiles and footwear. But we believe that this should be expanded to other products as well, especially plastic-intensive product groups such as electronics, for example. And the fourth suggestion is to accelerate the phase-out of harmful additives, and we recommend doing this through the Safe and Sustainable by Design framework, which now is voluntary. Basically, this framework helps companies that are designing products to design them in a safer way, a more sustainable way, but that for the time being is on a voluntary basis. For certain industries, we believe that this could be mandated. I think we've got two more. This one is about the Single-Use Plastics Directive. I think we all know about it. It was the first time where certain products or the use of certain products had been banned. But if we look at, we're now a few years after the directive came into effect, so if we look at its results, we can see that some products that were banned are actually being replaced by potentially more harmful products. Let's take, for example, plastic straws. I don't know if this happens in Italy, but in Cyprus, for example, plastic straws were banned. So for a while there, the restaurants and the bars were giving you paper straws. Paper straws are terrible. I think we cannot agree that they're not really fit for purpose, because if you're using it for a while, they tend to disintegrate. But also there are concerns about the chemicals that are being put in the paper to make them last for a while in your drink. So what we're seeing now is this sort of straws that you see here. They are plastic, they are quite hard, they are packaged in either paper or plastic little packaging, and they say reusable on them. So because they say it's reusable, they're allowed to be put on the market, but they're being used as single-use straws still, once, and then we throw them away. So these loopholes that exist in the Single-Use Plastic Directive and other directives need to be closed. We need to make sure that any alternatives are actually sustainable. And we need to also start looking for this litter when we're doing our data collection. For example, we've replaced plastic cutlery with bamboo ones or wood ones, but we don't know if we're finding them in cleanups. So the official list for recording this litter should include these potentially unsustainable alternatives. Sorry, and I think this is the final one, last one. Again, this leads to what we heard earlier, and it's a recommendation about supporting research and development of alternative materials and products, not for everything, but for certain products there is merit in looking at them and continuing investment and making sure that these are fit for purpose. They do their purpose while being sustainable. So these are the 6 ones under the category design and prevention. If you scan this QR code, you should go to Slido. Alternatively, you can type in your browser slido.com and enter the code that you see there. And I will do it from my phone as well, just to make sure it works. It works, okay. So we'll give you a couple of minutes to select 2, please, that you think should be addressed as a priority.
Unfortunately, there was a technical problem, so you cannot see the results of the voting here, but you can see them on your telephones, and we can see them on the screen of our laptop here. So,
Yeah, we can move on. Okay. Μπορούν να το δουν. Να δούμε τα... Ποια είναι?
Okay. Voice and Eurovision voting is over for this. Okay. The winner is strengthen the focus on prevention. First, there would equal 48% of you voted for this, and the second, first round, support research and development of alternative materials and products. These two have equal votes, 48%. Then the third is expand eco-design mandates to include plastics and polymers by 33%. And the fourth, changing. Still voting. The fourth is accelerate the phase out of harmful additives. Thank you very much for this. We have 4 more like this to go. And as Dimitra said, okay. So thank you for this first voting. We have 3 sets of voting to go. And as Dimitra said, this was supposed to be an open discussion. If we have time at the end, we will say something, but feel free to contact us and we can have online meetings and discuss any suggestions. So we move to the second.
Yeah. So the second category of recommendations is on waste management. So the work that we did identified that, and I think we all know it, is that while in Europe we're moving towards circularity and the implementation of a more circular economy, this is not the same for all countries. Some countries are moving a lot faster, some countries are moving quite slower. So the recommendation is to make sure that there is technical and financial assistance to the countries that really need it so that they can catch up in terms of the circular economy so that we're all moving in at the same, or moving up, sorry, at the same time. The second recommendation is to incentivize the use of chemical recycling for difficult to recycle plastic packaging. So there's a lot of plastic packaging or composite packaging that cannot be recycled at the moment. A very small percentage actually of what we collect is effectively recycled. The packaging and packaging waste regulation now requires industry and member states to make sure that any material that they put out on the market could be effectively recycled by 2035. This will help, but it will still not be able to address all plastic packaging. Chemical recycling can support this, but it's very expensive and energy consuming compared to mechanical recycling. So the recommendation is to incentivize it, to help it. You know, economies of scale can bring down the price as well. Using renewable energy can bring down the cost of energy. So to make some incentives there so we can have more chemical recycling. And another recommendation that's related to recycling again, but it's different, is to promote investment in European recycling infrastructure. In the last few years, we've seen a drop in recycling infrastructure in Europe, and that means that there's market uncertainty. We're not sure, our chemical recycling industry is not sure if they will have a market in the future. And also, we don't have locally sourced high quality recyclates. So how can we implement the circular economy if we don't have materials that can go into the loop locally in Europe? So promoting investment in European recycling infrastructure can support that. In some of the policies, several of them actually, the Waste Framework Directive, the Single-Use Plastic Directive, the Urban Wastewater Directive, this concept of the polluter pays or the extended producer responsibility is coming up. This means that companies that are producing products or putting them on the market, which have the responsibility when they end up as waste to collect and deal with this waste. which puts the onus, let's say, on industry rather than on public authorities to do cleanups and waste management. But the way this is applied in the member states is different, because it's one of these where each member state can choose how to apply the extended producer responsibility scheme. So in some countries, the industry might organize itself really, really well and actually collect its waste. In other countries, they might be paying some money somewhere for someone to do something. It's a little bit vague. So what we're suggesting is that the extended producer responsibility scheme is strengthened horizontally across Europe. A lot of the stakeholders that we've been speaking with told us that, okay, we're doing some work to address marine litter, but there is historical accumulation of litter. If you go into ports, for example, like the port of Marseille, they told us that historically people would just dump their waste there. But there's also waste in terrestrial environments. So we need to locate and clean up this historical waste accumulation. Another thing that we're hearing a lot is that we have a lot of authorities in each country that we go, that each one of them has a piece of the waste management and circular economy mandate. So this often leads to either overlaps or gray areas where nobody is responsible for doing anything. And these complexities need to be clarified. These are more sort of national level recommendations, let's say. And the last one in this category concerns a very difficult, admittedly, issue, which is transboundary transport of litter. So litter that's transported through rivers from one country and ends up on the coast of another country, for example. And how do we address this? Apart from some technical solutions that might be available, and we've heard a little bit today, more collaboration is needed, frameworks such as transnational joint working groups or committees to identify and implement the most suitable solutions wherever this is possible. And that brings us, I'm sorry, yeah, I need to start the slide off. Okay.
This brings us to the second voting. While you are thinking, I would like to say an example on the first loophole, support a leveled recycling and waste management approach across Europe. I will send you some examples. There is in the directive, Europe suggests to the member states different waste management schemes like DRS. Do you know DRS?
Deposit return system.
Deposit return system. DRS is a system that you find in Germany for the last 30 years. And it's a system that other countries implemented, like Malta, 3 years ago. And with this system, you give value to the garbage, to the waste. This is the system that you take the plastic bottle or the tin, there's a QR code, you put it there, and you take, in Germany, 25 cents per bottle. In other countries, like my country, the government didn't select this way of waste management, of domestic, mainly domestic, selected the pay-as-you-throw system, which punishes the consumer for creating litter, and it is a complicated system. The results are, in Malta, within the first 6 months of implementation of the DRS, which in Malta they call it HBR, something else, I don't remember, they managed to reach up to 95% of collection of recyclables. In my country, it's been 7 years, we didn't manage to collect anything, actually. Because if you give incentives and value to the waste, it's much easier to collect it, so it's much easier to manage it. Okay, and we have the results of the voting. The first is to support a leveled recycling and waste management approach across Europe by 41%. The second by 24%. is to promote investment in Europe's recycling infrastructure. And the third is by 21%. No, okay, I don't see everything. Okay. The first is to strengthen extended producer responsibility. Okay, I couldn't see correct. The first is to strengthen extended producer responsibility. The second, by 41%, is to support the level recycling and waste management approach across Europe. The third, actually we have the third and fourth, equal voting, 24%. Promote investment in Europe's recycling infrastructure and tackle complexity and overlaps in the responsibilities of public authorities. Thank you very much.
Okay, we're more than halfway through. We're nearing the end, so thank you for being with us. The next set of recommendation is on marine litter. We understand that this relates to waste management as well, but marine litter, since there are a lot of policies that deal with marine litter specifically, it warranted its own category, let's say. So the first recommendation has to do with ship-generated waste. So waste that is created on vessels, container vessels, cruise vessels, and what have you, and how this is managed at ports. What we've seen from our analysis and our work is that there is a mismatch between how vessels separate their waste and what happens to this waste when it comes out at ports. There is also a difference between the fees that the various ports are charging to collect this waste. And this could lead to some companies selecting to dispose of their waste in some ports that are not so sustainable in the way that they manage the waste that they're collecting, so to avoid spending more money. So what we are suggesting is to make sure that these inconsistencies and these incompatibilities are overcome, they're sorted, and that in this way a waste management system for ports could help choose where to dispose, and it could also be a plus for the vessel owning companies because they could promote that they're selecting ports that are more sustainable. Abandoned, lost, or discarded fishing gear is a very, very big problem when it comes to marine litter. This is any fishing gear that is lost or either accidentally or just discarded in the marine environment. We've been speaking a lot with fishermen, and the main problem that they have is that they're not able to dispose of this waste free of charge everywhere. So that acts as a disincentive for them. In Cyprus, for example, they've told us that a lot of them are just keeping old fishing gear at home because they don't know what to do with it, which is also bad for the circular economy because it's a material that could be recycled or upcycled or refurbished. So this needs to be addressed. The development of alternative fishing materials that are good for their purpose, but also have better environmental credentials is another recommendation. And very, very important is to identify ways to manage this fishing gear, because for the time being, there are only very few companies that can do something with the fishing nets. In a lot of countries, these are just being burned, incinerated for energy recovery, which is such a shame. The third recommendation is to make sure that stakeholders basically speak to each other. In every country that we go, we hear the same thing. Local authorities, industry, academia, civil society, NGOs, they do so much work, but there is very little collaboration and discussion between the various stakeholders. So, for example, an NGO might have a lot of data, but the public authority might not know about it, or the local decision makers might not know about the data and how they can use it to base their decisions and new policies. This is something we've heard about, again, improved data collection and data sharing, especially when it comes to seabed marine litter. A lot of people might not be aware, for example, that over 90% of our litter is somewhere on the seafloor. It's not what we see. It's somewhere where we don't see it, but we don't really know how much it is, where is it, and what to do with it. So data collection is very, very important. Citizen science and new technologies are very, very important for that as well. Then we go to another very big problem, especially in the Mediterranean, which is cigarette butt pollution. Go to any Mediterranean, especially touristic coast, and you will see hundreds, if not thousands, of cigarette butts somewhere. It might not be right in front of you, but I promise you, you will find them. So this needs to be addressed, whether it is through designated smoking areas or whether it is through extended producer responsibility, which links to what we said earlier about how we deal with this waste and how we collect it. But we're also recommended that any extended producer responsibility should address other more new types of smoking, whether that's e-vapes or e-cigarettes or whatever. And finally, to increase awareness. It goes without saying, but this is very important, but here we talk about seabed marine litter to specific stakeholders. Decision makers need to know that this is an issue that needs to be addressed and its impacts, and just to make sure that this becomes more obvious for everybody. So I'll start the slide off.
I think we have the winner. By 48% is the fishing gear. 40% is the increase of awareness about marine litter, especially 42%, especially seabed marine litter in specific stakeholder groups. And the third is to optimize the management of ship-generated waste. Just as information, we did a research. We visited 5 island ports in the Mediterranean, ports that are on islands. In Malta, in Heraklion, in Crete, in Greece, in Cyprus, and other smaller islands, to see if the ports, these ports, have as a priority the implementation of circular practices. It's difficult, still it's difficult. It might be a priority, but it's not a priority as much as should be considered. And okay, we can discuss about it later. So we have the results. And we move to the last one.
Sorry if I can just borrow a few minutes, because I would like to introduce the Council for the Environment of the Region of Veneto.
Welcome.
For a minute, who wants to greet all the audience?
Buongiorno a tutti, porto il saluto. Buongiorno a tutti, porto il saluto della Regione del Veneto.
Good morning, everybody. I bring the greetings of the Region of Veneto.
E con piacere sono qui per testimoniare l'impegno della Regione del Veneto per quanto riguarda la tutela del mare, della laguna, dell'oceano, dei corsi d'acqua, perché la risorsa acqua è fondamentale per la nostra vita.
I'm here to confirm to state that the Region of Veneto is engaged to conserve the water system and the
River.
ocean and the waters. Waters means everything.
Io ringrazio naturalmente tutte le istituzioni, operatori e volontari che in sinergia svolgono attività per la tutela della nostra risorsa acqua, risorsa idrica.
I want to thank all the operators, the volunteers, and the
Institutions.
The institution and the organizations. Can you hear me? Yes. We want to thank all the institution operators and the organization that are engaged on the water protection and the ecosystem protection, the water ecosystem protection.
In particolare una battaglia questa per i rifiuti abbandonati, parliamo della plastica.
In particular, we are fighting against plastic pollution, marine litter plastic pollution in particular.
Perché la plastica, noi siamo circondati dalla plastica e non si vuole demonizzare la plastica, ma è il rifiuto di plastica.
Yes, because as you know, we are all surrounded by plastic. Plastic is not a bad thing per se, as you know, but it's a problem. It's a problem.
E si tratta di un fatto culturale di coscienza e la necessità poi di tradurlo in azioni pratiche concrete, dal singolo cittadino che interviene alle istituzioni, a tutto il sistema che si deve muovere per questo.
As a question of awareness, and everybody has a role to play, also from the single citizens and the institution, of course, to have a part in fighting against this problem.
All system.
All systems.
E la volontà è appunto quella di valorizzare le iniziative che si tengono nel nostro contesto, in questo caso oggi quindi al Salone Nautico, per mettere in evidenza questa volontà che c'è di questo territorio, e per questo appunto va il nostro ringraziamento, sapendo che la Regione del Veneto partecipa alle iniziative che si tengono, quindi alle missioni che si tengono a livello europeo, proprio perché ha questa responsabilità e questa voglia di fare la propria parte.
Okay, so the region of Veneto is want to take part to this, collecting the neighbor, and here I am to state it, and to be part of the solution of the marine litter challenge in all the our ocean, our internal waters, lakes, rivers, etc. So, and this way,
Lago?
Lakes. Yes, we say waters means vuol dire tutto. Sì. And yes. This was the message that the Council wants to deliver to you, and thank you, Councillor, for being here.
Grazie.
For this statement. Grazie per.
Grazie. For translate.
Thank you for coming.
On behalf of the European Commission, a nome della Commissione europea vorrei ringraziare la Regione, la città di Venezia e Venice Lagoon Plastic Free in particolar modo, con tutto il consorzio di tutti i presenti oggi, per tutto quello che fate per la missione. Vi ho già ringraziato, ma non finirò mai di ringraziarvi per tutto quello che state facendo e per farla diventare una realtà sul vostro magnifico territorio. E lo vorrei fare con questo è simbolico, molto importante. E in realtà questa cornice è stata fatta con materiali di riciclaggio delle barchine abbandonate, grazie a Venice Lagoon Plastic Free e a tutto il consorzio. Abbiamo visto gli esempi magnifici delle soluzioni che portate oggi. Dunque questo ho il piacere di consegnarvelo con la bandiera della missione che abbiamo già consegnato all'assessore. Facciamo magari una foto tutti insieme.
Okay, and after this very nice break, this is the last part.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Okay. This is the last part, and it's very quick because we have 3 recommendations in this section only, and it's on technological innovation. So within CICLEAR, as you've seen, we go to various countries and we do the demonstrations and the pilots, and we've noticed that the regulations and the policies in each country are different when it comes to autonomous vehicles, when it comes to AI, and this can hinder innovation and the transfer of innovation from one from the country where it's being developed to somewhere else. So we are recommending that the framework for autonomous marine technologies, which doesn't exist, there's no yet a European harmonized framework, we recommend that there should be one so that technologies can be transferred much, much more easily. A lot of these innovations are also being developed by SMEs and by startups, and they need to continue to be supported in scaling them, so commercializing these innovations, especially through earmarked funding, for example, specific for ocean technology scale-up. And finally, to support the development of technologies that are fit for purpose. So technologies like CClear, for example, might be applicable in most environments, but they might not be applicable in all environments. And we've been speaking with some stakeholders in areas, for example, in Turkey, that are dealing with some very specific issues that have to do with the overgrowth and invasive species that are not allowing navigation of any ROVs. They need some tweaks to the technology to make it fit for their purpose. So we need to also support this more localized technological innovation to address specific problems. These are the 3 recommendations for technologies. I'll start the Slido again.
Still voting. Okay, I think we are done with this. Okay, by 42%, we have 2 winners. Enable SMEs and startups to scale innovative marine solutions. Very happy that this is a priority. And support the development of marine litter cleaning technologies that are fit for purpose. This is the first tool, and the third is harmonized cross-border regulation of autonomous. Look, still voting. Now, the first, by 44% then, is the support of the development of marine litter cleaning technologies that are fit for purpose. And with this, we finish with the prioritization of this, which was supposed to be a round table, but it's okay. Sitting arrangement doesn't matter, it's just geography or geometry. We have 5 minutes for any comments or something, if you want to do it now, or here, scan this QR code and this link, send us your suggestions. If you want, you can have online meetings. And I would say that concerning art and sustainability, we are working a lot with this because we believe that beauty will save the world anyway. So yes, we are very much involved and we can have a discussion afterwards. Anybody, any comments? We are all hungry. Okay. Thank you very much for participating in this participatory process. There is a small gift for all of you. Yes, Stefan, you can have a photograph. Thank you. So please have your tote bags. Thank you very much.